This is the Vision 79 podcast, where my friend Sander and myself, Mason, discuss recent developments in our business and personal growth. The name Vision 79 comes from our respective racing numbers. Sander's is 40, mine is 39, and we have similar ambition to progress in business and personal growth. Many successful people have started small, just like us, but very few of them have documented their early years. They often say they wish they had, and given we believe in learning lessons from others, we intend to be the first to document our journey from start to finish. This is simply a documentary of our lives, and as such, we don't monetize these videos, so enjoy the ad-free content. Today, we'll discuss the differences between regret and failure, how failure can lead to regret, how to choose between the two, and much more. Right now, we're kind of podcast studio homeless because Florida Tech closes their libraries for the summer, and it's Memorial Day. Thank you to our veterans and fallen soldiers. But that means that my apartment complex where we have been filming is also closed. So now we're recording at the Blue Marlin Real Estate Agency in Merritt Island. This is in no way sponsored by Blue Marlin at all, so nothing we say here is reflective of the company, but it's just a 24/7 access space that we have access to. So here we are. Yeah, making it work one day at a time. Next episode, we have locked in. We're going to be at the American Muscle Car Museum. So we have a location, and it's an awfully cool location at that. So yeah, hopefully it just gets better and easier from here because I'm not totally certain if we're allowed to be working in here, but here we are. Anyways,
We'll roll with it.
what's your business update? Well, a lot of my life update and business update is real estate related. So it is related to personal branding and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
technically I am working in here. It's just you who's not working, but I don't know. If I'm working here,
Working.
do you want to buy a house?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. What's your business update? If you're ready to buy a house, this is going to be a banging business update.
So this week on the business stuff, I got the LLC formed. The state got back to me. LLC went through. I immediately got an electronic EIN issued the same day. And then from there, I got my Chase business account issued through Chase. I got a new Wise business account issued under the EIN instead of my SSN, which was running sole proprietorship on a bank account that was not in the same name as the business. I think that's all look into it too much.
That's allowable. That's
Yeah.
fine. As long as you keep your finances recorded. It's not like illegal.
Yeah.
Account's not linked to the business.
Um,
Things are going well. So you are ready to buy a house. I'm taking notes. We're looking at
yes,
North Tropical
lots
Trail.
of money.
Lots of places to have money.
Yeah,
Not lots of money.
exactly. I'll do a credit advance on my new credit card for the down payment. Slash account is currently in review. I anticipate that maybe due to the holiday weekend or weekend in general, they aren't going to review over the weekend. So I'm in a group chat with the actual owner of the company. I did not bug him over the long weekend about
good.
my small measly account. I will bother him maybe like Wednesday if I don't hear anything. So I don't want to.
My available credit is $2,000 a month.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
I don't care.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So I didn't bug him, but that's still in review. I did a bunch of work to make my site meta compliant for the new agency. So enabling right click, putting in LLC and registration information in the footer, changing discount percentages as well as the number of products that are discounted is also one of the regulations. You can't have more than 50% of the products on your page discounted. So I pulled one of them off of a discount, but I have a way I'm gonna work around that.
Is this you can't genuinely discount half your products, or is this you can't advertise that your products are discounted?
The latter.
Okay, got it.
They have to be one set price.
Got it.
So you can't have like a $50 crossed out and then have 40 under it. You have to just have 40.
It does look
more than half the products.
It does look sketchy if I'm scrolling through a website and I see that everything's on sale and it's not Black Friday or July 4th.
Yeah.
If it's not one of those 2 days, I'm like, all of these items are actually priced properly, but it just has the strike through, right? But if it's only a couple items, I'm like, there is scarcity. It is a limited.
Yeah. There is some data to show that conversions are better when there is some sort of discount on the product.
Yep.
So what I'm going to be doing this week to get around that is I have a bunch of products that I sourced over the last month or so that aren't great products to run ads for because they're oversaturated or they've been used in the past, but they are good products for upsells or aftersells because upsells or aftersells are essentially additional products that the customer adds on either to their cart while they're checking out or right after they purchase for a discount.
Right.
And so I can add those onto the store as upsells and aftersells with no cost on the advertising side.
Right.
And those products do not have to be discounted. And then my main flagship products I'm running ads for, I can put a discount on.
Got it.
Right. So if I put enough of the upsell, aftersell products on the store, then it's easy enough to have my main products still discounted. With those not discounted, I meet the meta compliance and I also get the discount that I want for people actually clicking on the advertisements that I'm running through Facebook.
You're kind of hiding the 50% that isn't discounted full price in the add-on at the end.
Right.
People aren't going to be
The
looking
meta
that way.
side will see it, but
Right.
the actual customer ad click side won't.
Smart.
So I'm going to be working that this week. New agency accounts are, I just right now as I was walking in, got a compliance form agreement that I need to sign. So I'm going to do that after the podcast. The old agency I ran down the USD balance on the account that I had left. They finally figured out how much USD I had left.
And
And
they got you your money back.
well, the USD, I didn't get a refund on the USD. I just burned it up on the account that I still had that was USD
But
based.
you did get the money back, all of it.
I got access to it to
Got it.
use. I did not get it back into my bank account.
But you were able to.
Right. They knew how much I had left.
It was no longer lost in the ether.
Yes.
They did not know where it was. They were like, oh, here it is.
Yeah. Right.
Got it.
Exactly. As of this morning, both of my EUR accounts that I was told would be much stronger, both are disabled right now as of this morning. And then additionally on Friday, they also had this business manager update, which also disabled the accounts, which screwed up my spending for about 2 days. It screwed it up on Friday, and then Saturday warming up again, it screwed it up. So another 2 days messed up to that.
No house.
No how.
Got it.
No.
Not this week.
Nice.
Might be keeping notes.
Yeah.
Coming next week. I'm not ready either. It's okay.
So those two accounts got locked up. I sent them a request for not a refund, or sorry, not a like a balance check, but an actual refund to my bank account for the EUR.
Because it's frozen.
Because it's frozen, and within the past month, I have had half a dozen ad accounts locked up. They issued ad accounts in the incorrect time zone. They issued ad accounts in a different currency without telling me.
Right.
They issued accounts with a minimum balance top-up requirement without telling me. They moved money around without telling me. They refused to move the money back. They couldn't give me proper tracking for that money. I didn't know how much I had. They screwed up all my financing. They wasted my time, and I'm done with it. They wasted. This month alone, I have withdrawn almost $7,000 from my personal account.
Do you remember when we used to do TikTok shorts of like, it was like we pick a random category and then we brain blast like business ideas for that, right? All I can think about listening to this issue is fuck a Shopify store, start an ad agency that doesn't suck. Because if this is the best option that's out there, it can't be difficult to do a better job.
Yeah, well, I'm curious, like, with the meta compliant agency, why that's not more popular. Like with the agency where I had to like change the right click enable on my site and the discount stuff and the LLC registration stuff, like a bunch of stuff. Like I feel like that should be an easier alternative to find rather than these like ghetto agencies that are just renting ad accounts from a meta supplier and then selling them to you at a higher cost.
Yeah.
And so I did think about like, what if I started my own ad agency at some point in the next year or two? And I would definitely do like a meta compliant style site.
Yeah.
Because from what I learned with all of the meta compliant stuff from this new agency is like, there's a lot I didn't know and they're very particular about it, but it seems to, at least I'm hoping that it's a lot more stable because even with the stability guarantees of multiple agencies that I've used over the last few months, they just aren't stable.
Right.
You know, it's better than trying to run your own personal account, but it's not, getting an ad account locked up once a month or once every other week is just not feasible at all.
Right. So instead of having a business that's responsible for the accounts that get locked up, you could instead run a business that takes your clients through what to expect, like how to work meta to increase your odds of keeping a agency or keeping an ad account up
Right.
the longest.
Yeah.
There was a guy on the Hermosi podcast a few weeks ago. He was that his business was reaching out to Hispanic music artists with low income who want to make their own music and make it big, but don't know how to protect their own like copyright and legal rights and stuff. Because apparently there's been an issue with people like misappropriating the IP of these artists and then those companies making money off of music that they don't technically own but have access to, right? And so this guy was selling courses that was teaching people, hey, you want your music to blow up. You don't want to lose a ton of money doing it. You don't want people to sell your shit. You don't want to sell your soul. Here's everything that you need to know. And so he was selling really poorly. And Hermosi helped him fix everything. But I can easily see a similar kind of business for Meta, where it's like, hey, you want to run your own ads. They keep getting taken down. I'm going to walk you through how it's least likely to happen. What you
Okay.
can do to decrease the chances of your account being taken down.
Yeah, yeah. So that's something I thought about this week. You know, longer term in the future, potential there for sure. Because it's a, it's not super frustrating.
Mm.
But it's irritating from the perspective of I put time, effort, and energy into getting these accounts warmed up and putting out ads that are compliant and making sure that my ducks are in a row and I don't abuse the accounts and I make sure my everything is always topped up and like I still get flagged.
Sounds frustrating to me.
Yeah, it to an extent it is. It's not like excruciatingly frustrating.
I see.
I had to sneeze
I understand.
in case the audience couldn't tell. Um,
Our fucking microphone AI is so good, they probably didn't even hear it.
probably. Um, but yeah, you know, just working through that stuff right now. But additionally, this week I also got Zero as an accounting software. I was able to get in contact with their customer service. Actually, their customer service was super helpful. I sent an email within 5 minutes at 10 p.m. on a Sunday. I received a phone call.
Hell yeah.
They called me within 5 minutes, 10 p.m. on a Sunday, and they're like, "Hey, how can I help you? What's going on?" Blah blah. Blah. They
Is it
walked
the QR code thing?
Yes.
Run the audience through that real quick.
Yeah. So
Or future Sander and Mason.
yeah. So Zero is a software Xero that is essentially very similar to QuickBooks, but the reason I went with them is because they had very similar functionality to QuickBooks, but they had a better offer. They had 6 months at 90% discount rather than 3 months at 90% discount. And the reason I did not use Quicken is because Quicken does not link with the various international accounts that I have to have.
Yep.
And so I had to go with a different platform. So I decided to go with Zero. It was relatively easy to set up. It's a little bit, it's not primitive in functionality. It just looks like it was built in like 2012.
That's okay.
If
Which functional, then it's functional.
it's functional, it's functional.
It's funny that something that looks like it was built in 2012 links with these international accounts because I can't get Quicken has been great for me in all avenues now that I know how to work it. Because going through and reorganize it's later in my life update, whatever.
Yeah.
It won't link with Coinbase,
Mm.
which I feel like is a pretty common crypto trading platform.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people have Coinbase accounts. Quicken just won't link with it, which is
Interesting.
frustrating.
But I was able to get Zero. And I went through.
You've had Zero in your bank accounts for a while now.
Haha, very funny. I went through all my expenditures, accounted them in Zero. Zero is also nice because it'll link with PayPal.
Oh, that's awesome.
So yeah, I can link my PayPal, my Wise accounts, my Chase accounts, and then
Got it.
everything balanced.
try-
Well, I don't have Splash yet.
But when you get it, do you think it'll link?
I think it will.
That'd be
It
awesome.
should. Yeah.
That
And
makes
so,
tracking business stuff like super easy.
yeah, so I went through and I got all those expenditures out, organized all of them relatively primitively, to be honest. Like I kind of just did like basic, like this is a fee, this is mentoring, this is ad spend, this is fulfillment. And I just like kind of went through and just broad strokes.
That's kind of what I've been doing. I think that's enough for the IRS if they have a specific
That's
point.
what I was thinking because when we were doing our, what was it, our 1040 form? Was that the form we filled out?
Yeah, the Schedule 1040 was for Kahuna Cravings.
Yeah, yeah. So when I was thinking about the 1040, I was like, the 1040 is pretty broad strokes in terms of like expenditures and stuff like that. And even so, like with fees and stuff like that, like at least if I have basic tracking on the side, I can fill out the form.
Yeah.
And the other thing I did was I still do PDF copies of every receipt.
Yep.
And so those are all in a Google Drive. So part of my zero accounting was also updating that Google Drive to have the receipts that
Yeah.
I currently have.
Yeah, the Schedule 1040 didn't ask us to itemize our expenses.
Yeah.
We have them itemized, but I didn't have to download or submit the Excel sheet or PDF or
Right.
anything. We also, so that's for a business 1040, right? But so far, the expenses that you've had earlier in the year, you can't retroactively charge those to your new LLC. So you're going to have to file whatever tax form it is for the sole proprietorship. I think it's just a Schedule 1, and then a new 1040 for your new LLC for every expense from when you founded the LLC on. But
Yeah.
what Grace did last year is she wrote off her student loans. You can write off all interest payments on your student loans, which for her was like several thousand last year.
Yeah.
She wrote off all that, no receipts needed, no PDF, no nothing. Although she has it, there's not a way to submit it. She also was like, I wonder if I can write off my real estate expenses. And I was like, I don't know, because you don't have an LLC. You don't need an LLC. You can write it off as a sole proprietorship. You just put in the total number that you want deducted from your taxable income, and then they'll do that. And then everybody recommends you have the PDFs and proof in your Google Drive in case you get audited. It's unlikely
Left
to
hand
happen.
does not talk with the right hand.
Exactly. And so if there is questions, it's good to have those things. But I mean, all the IRS is going to see is like, what's the number on the 1040 from whatever, May 26th on, and then what's the number on the schedule? I think it's 1, maybe
LLC
5th.
goes live June 1st.
There you go. June 1st.
But
on.
the EIN is already active, which is why I was able to issue all these
Right.
accounts.
Exactly. Yeah. And all they're going to see is like, what's the total number? And then we'll write that off your like, we'll deduct that from your taxable income. But having the PDFs is the way to go.
Yeah.
I save PDFs, and then I have an Excel sheet which says, it's like who paid, who did I pay, how much did it cost, what was the item, and then why is it a relevant business expense? And that way, if I ever get audited, it's just like, here's a link to my Google Drive. Literally everything you need is in there. There's the table of contents, and then there's every single individual file. If you want to argue over something, then go for it. But
Yeah.
everything in there is correct.
I didn't go into a terrible amount of detail.
I don't think you have to.
Yeah, if I do at some point, like if forbid I get audited or something like that,
Yeah.
like I don't have any expenses that are weird that I wouldn't remember.
Right.
It's all basic. It falls into like one of 5 boxes.
I've already had a couple that I have to go back and check because there's so many different like government regulatory agencies that govern real estate that you have to pay fees to. So like
Mm.
one of them is a monthly subscription fee that's like $10. I don't even know what the fuck it is. I can't remember. It's just one of the things I have to pay to keep my license and keep my MLS status and stuff like that. I don't really remember what that is. And so I have it saved in my Excel file with or I guess it's a Google Sheets file, but I'm paying this government organization this much money recurring every month for this reason, because I know that if I have forgotten it in the 2 weeks since I've paid it, I will forget it if I'm audited in 3 years and they want to pull up previous years. Because, this year I might not get audited. Next year I might not get audited. But in 2027, maybe I start some different kind of business, and then they're like, we want to look into your income in the past 10 years. Oh, 3 of those years you've written off fucking $20,000 off your taxes. What's the deal here, man? And then I'm like, well, I can't remember what any of these government expenses are, but I have an Excel sheet that has like literally a 1-line sentence breaking it down. But I have far fewer and far weirder expenses than you do, because I have to pay people I don't know unknown amounts of money for, I don't even really know what the product is. I just know that I have to have it to keep my license active. But so far I've been tracking for 2 weeks and I have maybe like 20 expenses. So it's not that difficult to manage, but I've seen your accounts. It's just like constant transactions.
Yeah,
It's difficult.
I have around a dozen transactions a day.
Can you auto sort in Zero so that it's like, hey, Zero, every time
It'll do it after you start sorting. It'll start autoing.
and then every time you make that expense from here on, it automatically categorizes it as that?
Yeah, unless it's like a small differential, then I'll leave it blank and I can do it.
I have mine. So I figured this out with Quicken. So when you cash out at Pauhana, they aren't just called like Pauhana Kava Bar. It's like Pauhana Tea House or Tea House LLC or
Yeah.
Pau or Hana. Like it's got all these different names, right? But I just wrote into Quicken and I said, if a data entry contains any of these words, Pau, Hana, Kava Bar, if it's any of those, just automatically categorize it as Kratom, because that's really all I'm getting from the bars, but automatically categorize it as Kratom. So even when it has the funky names like that, it always catches them.
That's cool.
Yeah. I learned how to do this the most recent time that I started
That's
fucking
sweet.
with it. Yeah.
Yeah. one of the things I want to do this week is sort out sales tax.
Mhm.
Um,
Fuck.
that's
A bitch.
yeah, that's gonna be interesting. Um, New ads for Gramophone were released. I wrote this last night at 4 a.m. when my ad accounts were still running. They are now locked. Um, New ads for tablet are in work. And I also found a new product that I sent over to my mentor. I found like 3 of them, and he said 2 of these are good, but they're older. This one I really like. The one he really liked, there's a few different versions of it. I sent all those different versions over to my supplier in order to see if they can acquire fulfillment through them so I can use their portal in order to fulfill my orders for this product.
Can you talk about the product or no?
I want to leave it off for now. um,
God forbid we see this on Tuesday.
uh,
No one else watches.
no. But the product itself can retail for similar to what the Gramophone and tablet are. Probably retail somewhere around 40. I'm going to start it at 35.
Okay.
But it can probably retail for somewhere between 40 and 50 for sure. And my cost to fulfill is half of that of the other products.
Okay. So you got a better value rate.
Yeah. My fulfillment cost is like $10 for a single, 17 for 2, and like 25 for 3.
Will people buy in multiples or will they only buy one?
From what I've seen from the other 2 products, people often buy in multiples.
Interesting.
So
Cool.
yeah, that when I got the fulfillment numbers back, at first she sent me the fulfillment. My supplier sent me the fulfillment numbers for the original one I wanted, and it was pricey. And she was like, "This is going to be more expensive because it has like proprietorship Sony incorporated items into it." And I was like, "Okay, what about these variants?" And they're the same product, they just look a tiny bit different.
Chinese.
I think they're all Chinese, to be honest. I think there was some aspect of
Sony Chinese? I don't actually know.
I don't know.
Sony's.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Is it Japanese? I don't know.
I'm not sure. Cheaper than the name brand of Sony.
Yeah. So the first one wasn't name brand Sony. It just had aspects on the back end that I think were Sony related, and so it was costing more to fulfill initially. So I was like, "What about these?" And she got me those back, and it was like less than half of what the original like Sony-esque one was. And I was like, "Oh shit!" Like
That's way better.
this is not only a product that can retail for something similar to what I have now, but it cost me like half to fulfill. Like that's really good, especially with, you know, although the tariffs have been lessened, they are still in effect to some degree, and they are affecting prices. So anything I can do to get the fulfillment end down price wise is like a huge bonus.
Right.
So I'm hoping to get that launched during this week. I just found it last night, so
Right.
it's going to take me.
Can you launch it with your accounts down, or do you have to wait for the accounts to?
I can build the store at least.
Got it. And then you can run the ad.
And I have the new agency compliance form to sign. So if I sign that, I hope I can get it. And then I also have a backup agency, which literally last night I was like, "Hey guys, I'm not going to be using this for a while. It's just a backup." I literally messaged them this morning. I was like, "Joke's on me. I need it."
Yeah, it's instant karma.
Yeah.
So what is the agency compliance form? That's the meta compliance thing.
I haven't read it yet. It's like 6 pages, just like different things I have to sign. I don't know if they have like a payment required.
What does the form do?
I have no idea.
They just sent you a form.
They're like,
Okay.
Please sign this compliance form.
Got it.
And it was like compliance form and payment confirmation. I have no clue. Haven't even read it. I opened it 5 minutes before we started this. So
I guess we'll hear about it next week.
yeah, probably.
That's crazy. There's one of our friends from Kraken. He's kind of a private guy, so I won't say his name, but I think you know him. He's a nice guy. He mentioned the other week that he and his family have like a closet in their house full of kids' toys for when like they bring their kids to other people's birthday parties. They just have like gifts prepackaged ready to go. And I was like, that's so wild. I haven't even considered what life with kids is like, but this guy pre-planning like that is so curious to me and so interesting because my family didn't grow up that way. Like my family was always like, "What do you think your friend would want for their birthday?" And this family is like, "We just have gifts ready to go." I don't know.
Yeah,
they're just blanket gifts.
I have tablets and gramophones I need to ship out to friends who have kids up in Massachusetts. I haven't done it yet, but I have some at home that I'm going to ship out to them just as a gift.
Yeah,
just for fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's life doing this business and specifically this um these products really gives you some insight on like a small sliver of what parent like is life
Yeah,
or
yeah,
parent life is like.
yeah,
Not that like my research really gives me that great of a perspective on it, but working with content creators and like when they don't have something done because their kid is getting out of school or their
yeah,
kids got sick or like stuff like that. Like it
yeah.
gives you like a little window into it, which is kind of fun. Um,
Yeah, recently my boss has been leaving work early, picking up his kid, and then from school, and then coming back to work later. Um, and so like he'll message me at work. He'll be like, "Do you mind if you do this? Like, can you cover this thing for me real quick? I have to go get my kids." And I'm like, "Yeah." And then I'm like, "Oh, dude, other people's lives outside of work are so different.
yeah,
Like I leave work, and then it's like go gym, go bar, go like work more, right? And
yeah,
other people have other people that they're in charge of at home,
right.
kids.
Yeah, yeah. It is funny.
Yeah,
Um, but that was pretty much my life update. I spent
business update.
yeah, sorry, business update.
Got it.
I spent a good amount of time building the ads, working with the agency stuff, the LLC, the bank account stuff, getting the EIN stuff sorted. I need to do the sales tax stuff still. That is a good amount of my last week.
Got it. Do you pay your sales tax quarterly like Coven and Cravings, or do you not know yet? We'll find out next week. Okay. Are you ready for my business update? We'll
Yeah.
plan strategically. Okay, cool. Okay. I have again so fucking much. It's so ironic because all throughout what I'm realizing is 2 weeks ago or last week, you had the idea of like, what if we cut back on the philosophical part of the podcast and just do life and business updates? And I was like, I don't know, life's been busy lately, but it probably isn't going to be that busy for very long. And what I'm now realizing is it's probably only going to get busier, and I'm probably only going to
That's kind of how it is.
yeah, and what I'm realizing is, so one of my updates is that I made a social media post announcing that I signed with Blue Marlin
Mm,
for real estate. And in that post, I'll read you the caption here. Um,
I think I read it, but I forgot it.
I wrote it, I forgot it. I said, 300 hours of education, 250 pages of notes, 99% exam score, 6 months of job shadowing. I have a Hormozy quote. We don't rise to the level of our expectations, we fall to the level of our preparation. And then I wrote, I can't think of any better ways to be prepared. I can't think of any more ways to be better prepared. I'm so amped to bring this work ethic and enthusiasm to Blue Marlin Real Estate every day, even on Memorial Day. And then Blue Marlin's slogan is can't slow down. So I have some hashtags in there.
Cool.
But I I wrote that and I was like, oh, 300 hours of education is a long time. And then I realized it and I was like, oh, podcast episode, like the podcast episodes like fucking 35 to 55 or it's just I'm doing the real estate course. It's just like weeks of doing the real estate course.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's why I didn't have any updates for the longest time because I was just like consuming information and most of it's boring shit that I didn't really want to like relive. I've been reading it for 8 hours. I don't want to go talk about it for 3 hours, right?
Yeah.
But it's important shit that needed to get done. Um, but now life is happening and it's not just sitting in front of a computer doing a course. So I have a lot more to talk about. So last week I got my headshots done. This whole section is just Blue Marlin onboarding because they have a long onboarding process. I had already been through their onboarding video and email content and sign up stuff and everything. So I signed my W-9 tax form, etc. And the next phase is getting headshots and then doing like your social media branding, personal branding stuff. So I did the headshots; those went super well. I did a small cut it's funny because for 2 weeks, I did, like, a small cut to lose a little bit of weight, and then I walked outside to try to get a little bit more of a tan, and then on Friday, um, I made my first sale, and then Tuesday is headshots. Friday and Saturday and Sunday, all I did was stand at my desk and play with Lego. I built a Lego set and ate cookies. I ate, like, 48 chocolate chip cookies in those 3 days, and then I showed up to my headshots, felt great, looked great, took great photos, and then afterwards, I was like, "Dude, why do I look so great in those photos? All I did was eat cookies all weekend." And then I was like, "Oh, I only ate cookies all weekend. I didn't eat anything else. I just ate cookies and stood at my standing desk." So I think that the burning calories from standing perfectly matched the fact that I was eating nothing other than chocolate chip cookies, and it balanced out to still be a caloric deficit.
Yeah.
Um, but the headshots went well. I think they look good. I'm happy with them. I was concerned that I wouldn't like them and then wouldn't want to purchase marketing material with my photos on them, and then I would want to get them retaken, whatever. They went well. And then after I took the photos, I came in and Chloe, the social media manager here, um, she got me set up on all the accounts. She was like, okay, what's your Instagram? Follow Blue Marlin. I'll have them follow you back. What's the Facebook? And then do that, whatever. And then she was like, okay, now go to your Facebook. And I was like, got it. She was like, hit the 3 buttons in the top right. And I was like, okay. She was like, now select all. And I was like, got it. She was like, now press send. And I was like, okay. So I sent it. Didn't think anything else about it because this is the day that we were closing. So I get in the car, get on the phone with Grace. Shit hits the fan and I'm dealing with that. And someone sends me a text. I don't pay attention to it. And so a little bit later, I go and check that text. And it's my best friend from high school's wife who lives in Georgia messaged me and with a screenshot of me inviting them to follow Blue Marlin on Facebook. And she was like, are you trying to get us to move to Florida? And I was like, what are you talking about? I didn't do that. And then I was like, oh, and I thought about it. And she had me send that invitation to everybody in my Facebook contacts, all of them. And I was like, oh man, I totally blanked on that. So like everybody got that. I had no idea that that's what I was doing. So that's kind of funny. And then after that, I went and created my own business Facebook page for real estate and my own Instagram page. I considered there's kind of like 2 trains of thoughts here, or schools of thought, I should say, with real estate business accounts. On one hand, people prefer to follow real estate accounts if there's some of your personal life sprinkled in there because you're building a personal brand. And so it's better to have some of your personal life in there in addition to real estate. On the other hand, I know people like yourself who aren't interested in buying a home right now and don't want to see that shit on your fucking page every day. So if I start firebombing my personal Instagram with all of my friends, I have like maybe 600 followers, right? Probably 400 of them aren't going to give a fuck and will probably stop following me because I'm just spamming their For You page with all this real estate stuff. So I considered it and I was like, okay, here's what I'm going to do. I've already created a business page on Facebook for business. So my Facebook is separate from my personal. I'm going to do the same thing with Instagram. I'll link the 2 business pages. And then on the business pages, I'm going to firebomb real estate content all the time. And then the big moments I'll post to my personal pages because that impacts my personal life, right?
Yeah.
And so that's exactly what I did. In my Facebook page, I was trying to figure out what to put in the bio because I don't want to do this long write-up that no one's going to read. And I also don't want to put something short like real estate agent because that's not anything, right? Doesn't provide any value. And so I thought, okay, I'm going to come up with like a fun phrase, right? As I was making this, I was like, man, my business update this week's going to suck because there's going to be 3 items on there and nothing else. I wound up doing a lot more than that. But the 3 items are like, I did so many fucking iterations. So like my business cards is later on here, right? I've been doing the business cards for 2 days, probably a total of like 18 hours is just figuring out these fucking business cards. And at the end, they don't look impressive. They don't look like 18 hours went into it. But similarly, I spent a lot of time on this slogan. I started with Space Coast Local, creating more locals. Because I'm from here. Blue Marlin is a niche company. They call themselves a boutique brokerage. I see it as like Hermosi's niche slapping someone, right? Is like go to somebody who knows the area. So I want to emphasize that not only do I work for a brokerage that specializes in this county, but I live here too. I'm from here. Space Coast Local, creating more locals insinuates I'm helping more people move here. And then I was like, that kind of sounds like I fuck a lot. Creating more locals makes me sound like I'm having kids. And I was like, that's not a message that I want to send to clients. So I changed it. Space Coast Local, removing the pain from your property process. A little bit of alliteration. Removing the pain is like Hermosi says, sell at the point of most pain, not most pleasure, right? You don't serve someone a steak at a restaurant and then go ask them if they want another steak. You sell them 2 up front after making them wait for their drinks. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I thought that was too much alliteration, so I changed it. And I said, Space Coast Local, removing the pain from your property game. So now it kind of rhymes a little bit. Then I changed it to Space Coast Local, removing the pain from your property gain instead of game. And the reason I changed it to gain is because Vanessa Van Edwards did a study where she sent out like promotional email. She sent out emails to people on her staff, or she had someone else do it. I can't remember. Here's the TLDR, right, of this like social process. Boss has a huge workload that he needs help with, right? He's going to ask his employees to come work in on a weekend, on a Saturday, to help him get it done. So she wrote 2 different emails for this boss to send, or these 2 different bosses. One of them was like, hey guys, this is a high pressure situation. if we don't get this done, we're fucked. People will be fired. We won't have money to pay payroll. You have to come in and help us. Not a great reception by the staff. They came in and worked, but they weren't happy about it. Then she wrote another email that was like, hey guys, we can do this together. You know, we're a team. If we work together, we can achieve this goal. Like, you know, champions mindset, shit like that. And it had like a huge impact, right? And so by changing property game to property gain, I'm trying to instill here that it's not a game that you're playing, because for some people, their property is like a huge part of their lives, right? People say it's their biggest asset, right?
Mm.
I don't want them to think that I'm viewing it as a game, because although real estate is like a big puzzle, it's not something.
To you it is, but to them it's not.
Right. It's not something to be taken lightly. But if I change it to gain, even if you're selling a property, so you're actually losing, not gaining a property, you're still gaining the equity that you built in that house,
Mm.
right? So it's seen as a positive, even if you're selling. So no matter who reads that, it should be seen as gain. And then I did one last iteration. I changed removing to relieving. I wrote Space Coast Local, relieving the pain from your property gain.
Cool.
Yeah. Okay, cool. These are my notes for that section. Sorry, I've got a lot here.
No,
I'm
you're
just trying to work my way through it. I linked the Instagram and Facebook pages with Meta, so I will undoubtedly be running ads on those. And I'm not excited about it, but I think it could be a cool opportunity for you and I to do some long form, unedited, unprepared content. I think it would be cool eventually to sit down, screen record the screens that we're using, and have you use the advertisement skills that you have from Facebook through dropshipping, and then apply it to the real estate thing with me. And we record the whole thing, and then we just put it on YouTube, unedited, on everything. Maybe like a live stream or something like that. And then, you know, it's up for people to see.
Yeah, something I've been thinking about is I really like the Hermosi idea of take something that people pay for, make it free, and monetize another way.
Yeah.
And so that's an idea I've been toying with, which is part of the reason I'm like so open about like the techniques and stuff that I use too.
Yeah.
Is like this stuff. Even before I found Hermosi, and he kind of said the same thing, and even before I went through this whole dropshipping process and business side, you know, over the past couple of years, I realized that 99% of people that you give information to will never do anything with it. Like very, very few people that you like actually spend the time to sit down and give information to will actually do something with it. And I started noticing that in like middle school,
Yeah.
you know?
It's so funny. I was listening to a Hermosi podcast on the way over here, and he was helping an entrepreneur solve whatever business problem they had. And Hermosi said, if you give people information for free, they're probably not going to do anything with it.
Yeah, 100%.
If they have skin in the game. Oh, it was this guy. He had a company. He exited for like 20 million. Now him and his wife are making free content, teaching people to do DIY countertops using epoxy instead of granite. Everybody loves to do it. The DIYers love to do it. There's some people that aren't very DIY handy, but they want to pay them to come out and do it. So they're training people, whatever. Anyways, but he said, if you teach people a skill, they're not going to do anything with it. If you charge them money, they're more likely to. That's why it's not free to go to college. You go to college, you pay to get your degree, and then you try to use your degree somewhere.
Right.
Go on.
But it's in addition, it was something I wanted to add to that. I guess it's a little divergence from that, but giving out content for free, I think what a lot of advertisers, you know, starting out advertisers like myself don't realize, and something that I'm struggling with right now too, is I see the big brands, they're not selling a product, they're selling content. They're selling entertainment. And it's like you are selling a connection to the company. You aren't selling this actual thing that you're trying to buy. You're selling a persona and a connection to a company. And so that's something that I've been trying to work into my advertisements as well.
Yeah.
But you know, there's a really good vehicle to build that connection with your customer base is to give out valuable content for free.
Right.
Because then it's like, at least, you know, I don't know how much I've seen this in other people, because I haven't like done enough like data testing or looking into it to understand. But at least for me, like if someone spends the time to give out something for free to me, like I am more inclined to work with them in the future. And I'm even more inclined to pay them in the future, because it's like, oh, this person's advice that they gave out to me for free has been really awesome. And I've really appreciated it. I want to show my appreciation by investing in X thing that they do.
Right.
right? And so I think that's a powerful tool. It's kind of more of like a long game tool.
Yeah.
But that's something that I've been thinking about through my experience in dropshipping and e-commerce is like I can give out a lot of this information for free and just monetize a different way on the back end.
Yeah.
Like give out all of the ad creation and website creation and all this stuff for free, but also have an ad agency and like an ad agency in the sense of like creating ads for you, or um a store or a business that optimizes your Shopify store, like
Yeah.
stuff like that on the back end. It's like you can go through all these videos and do it yourself and watch these, or you can just pay me X.
Right.
Right. And then like give out the same stuff for free and maybe have a couple tidbits on the paid version that aren't available.
Or
Right.
include
But
like a personal call with you
yeah,
to
yeah.
interface directly.
Right. So there's different ways to do it.
Ask custom questions. Yeah.
Yes, but that's something I've been thinking about. I'd be definitely open to doing like a YouTube style video of like ad walkthrough.
Yeah.
At least what I've learned thus far.
Yeah. I think that'd be cool. I think that what's interesting about Hormozy compared to other people, and I brought this up with Grace the other day because Grace doesn't like the online like guru guys. Like I don't really like a lot of Andrew Tate stuff, but there's portions of his messaging that I resonate with and I think is good and I can take from that. So I'll watch a TikTok with Andrew Tate in it because I know there's probably something valuable that I can get from it and then cut the rest, right?
Yeah.
Grace will just scroll past it because she doesn't care. And so when I first shared Hormozy with her, she was like, I don't trust this guy. He's probably just like all the other gurus. I just don't know what he's selling yet. Like, I don't know how he's trying to get money from me, but I know eventually it's going to happen and it's all like a scam. Right.
Yeah.
And the more Hormozy content I've shown her, the more she's like, this guy's actually really cool. Still don't know how he's going to try to get money from me, but I'm okay with it because he's giving a lot of value. Right. And we were talking in the car the other day and I was like, do you know why Hormozy makes his content? And she was like, I mean, I'm not really sure. I know that he sells books. And I was like, his books are free on Shopify or on Spotify. I've listened to both his books on Spotify.
The free on his website too. And the video courses are free.
Yep. Everything he does is free.
Well, 99 cents, I think, but it's like
pretty free.
Yeah.
But Grant Cardone also makes a ton of content, also holds in-person seminars, also charges money for in-person phone calls and stuff, right? But he's trying to sell you his books on like 10x your life, right?
Yeah.
And he charges real money for his books. It's not 99 cents. So why does Hormozy create all this content? And she was like, I don't really know. And I was like, the reason Hormozy creates this content is because he's figured out how to grow and scale businesses, and he wants other people to grow and scale their businesses so that they come to acquisition.com for him to get in on the action and then blow that company up. He doesn't want to go start a ton of companies from the ground up, get it to 10 million a year.
He wants to acquire them once they get to a certain point.
Hormozy wants to give us all the tools to get to $10 million a year so that we go to him and say, hey, dude, you've helped me get here. Help me get to like, 40 million a year. And then he takes you from there. And so what Hormozy's trying to sell you isn't anything. Hormozy's not trying to sell you anything. Hormozy's trying to buy from you. He wants you to do so well that he can then buy a portion of your company from you and get in on the action, which I think is just so fucking cool. And I haven't seen it done anywhere else. It's just so, in terms of like social media, like guru outlet things, it's so fucking awesome. So continuing with my business update, I made a Google business profile, and in order to be to be verified on Google Business, you have to take a video walking around the address of your business to show that you actually are like allowed to represent that business, right? So Grace has hers set to our apartment. And so she just filmed walking around the apartment, got verified right away, no problem. But I don't want my personal address to be out like in the ether for everybody to get access to. I want it to be here, especially because there's multiple Blue Marlin offices and the Merritt Island one is like their HQ. This is where the brokers work. This is where most of the staff is. This is like the beating heart, even though I live 30 minutes away and closer to another branch. This is like the one, right? And so I want it to be here. So I had to take a video. I went all out for this video. Dude, they were like, most videos are like 1 minute to 2 minutes long. And mine was like 8. And I walked around the whole fucking perimeter of the building. I walked down the street. I pulled up my LinkedIn profile, my Blue Marlin Doc account. I pulled up the department, the DBPR, the Department of Professional and Big Business Regulations. And I showed them my active license status and whatever. So I showed them everything. And I was like, I only want to film this once. So we're going to be done with it, right? And I think I filmed that on Friday. It's now Monday, and I'm still waiting for them to verify it.
Yeah, it's a holiday weekend. It'll probably be until Wednesday, Thursday.
I know, and it's just killing me. And every time I check,
tell me about it.
Dude,
Half my life is waiting for other people to fix their stuff.
it's driving me insane. I'm checking it every day, and every day my profile gets more views, and it's because I'm checking it from other Google accounts to see if it's active yet. So like I can see that people are Googling Mason Yaskovic Realtor, Blue Marlin Real Estate because I'm doing that.
Googled from Pauhana.
Exactly, right?
Googled from Melbourne.
Vision 79.
Googled from Merritt Island.
Yeah, I always go with the Vision 79 account. But the reason I am like waiting for this to get done is because I'm using the Blue Marlin Canva templates to make the posts, right? So I'm using their logos and the other things that they have figured out. And so I made that signed post. Like I said, I signed with Blue Marlin. But I also have sold posts that are pretty cool. Announcing
Yeah, I watched
sale.
your sold posts.
Thank you.
I took a look at them.
Yeah,
Or the ones you posted, at least I liked them.
I haven't posted any of the sold ones, but I did show you the other day on my phone. That's where you
swear I saw one somewhere.
Yeah, I showed it to you yesterday. We were at the bar.
Oh,
Pulled it up.
no, on Instagram it said sold.
It says signed.
Signed?
Yeah.
Okay.
The
The
one
one I must have been at the bar then. I'll
Yeah.
it, yeah.
The one on Instagram is the one that announced that I signed with Blue Marlin. And then I have these drafted saying, hey, I sold this property. One of them has the client in the photo. The other is just a property. I can post the one with just the property without permission from my client, but to post the one with him in it, I need permission, right? And so I was like, oh, I'll just message him and ask him real quick so I can get this post pushed out. And then I thought about it and I was like, well, hang on a second. You know, I'm going to try to use the Hormozy principle of like the longer the runway, the bigger the payload, right? So give, and then asked. And I gave him a lot with getting this property purchased. But then also at the same time, I got paid commission, right? So it's kind of like a half and half. But the strategy that I'm taking is Grace and I took a bunch of photos at closing with the client in front of the house with the keys and everything like that. We took a bunch of photos of the property. They've since moved in and like revamped everything and changed a bunch of stuff. And so we went through and edited all the photos into like a nice album of edited photos and sent that to them and said, hey, here is a collection of photos to remember the day that you closed on your property. Congratulations, right? They then also wanted the listing agent's sign removed from the property. So we called and had that done. So we're giving. And then their birthday actually came up. So we wished them a happy birthday. That's another give, right? And then when I do the ask, I want to ask, hey, do I have your permission to post a photo with you? If not, that's totally fine. And would you write Google reviews for Grace and I? But I have to wait for my Google business profile to be done for that.
Yeah.
Which is the holdup, which is aggravating because I have these sold posts ready to go. And I'm waiting to post the sold posts and a few other things to go in on my business accounts and follow everybody that I can think of because I want to push this out to everybody and anybody I know. But I don't want to do it with just I'm a new real estate agent. I want to show I am a real estate agent and now I'm getting some stripes on my jacket. You know, I have experience now. You can come talk to me.
Yeah.
So the outreach is waiting on the sold post, which is waiting on permission from the client, which is waiting on the business profile. So waiting on those.
I feel you.
Yeah. I got my first commission check. Actually, I forget what day I brought it in. The way it works is the title company receives payment from the buyer and seller, and then the title company cuts a check to the real estate brokerage, right? Now, we had two brokerages here because Grace was still working for Remax. Oh, that's another update. Grace signed with Blue Marlin, so she's officially also at this brokerage with me, which is awesome because when I was doing my interview, I was like, oh, hey, I'm not experienced because I've been very closely job shadowing this lead that I generated with Grace. She's about to close on it. I'd like to get in on the deal, etc. And they were like, oh, dude, that's awesome. If you can get her to come over here, we'll offer you both better commission splits. I was like, okay, cool. So we got her over. We're both at higher commission splits.
Nice.
Anyways, I'm not sure who that is. We got the first commission check, $2,137.50. It's my first official money from real estate, which is a great feeling. So that's done.
It is it's a nice feeling to have a profitable week. You're like, oh man, like this shit like works.
the past 3 months of doing this has paid off.
Yeah, right. I feel that with dropshipping too. You know, it's in the last 5 weeks because of the ad account issues.
Yeah.
I have lost money every single week.
Yeah.
This past week was the first week that I made just a little bit. I made like $250, something like that this week.
But making is better than losing.
Yeah, it is. It is. But it's, past 5 weeks with, I have subscriptions that are $500 a month,
Right.
300. I have multiple subscriptions that are between $300 and $500 a month.
Yeah.
And so like to be losing money on the business plus still be liable for those subscriptions,
Yeah.
it's not easy. So
It's tough. And even when you
yeah.
do make the money, it doesn't always go to like fun stuff. Like
Oh, it never goes to fun stuff.
it did for me a little bit because I bought that.
Yeah,
house.
that's true. For me, it has not.
Yeah, a large portion of the rest of it is going to go back into generating more leads. So I bought a bunch of Blue Merlin merchandise. I'm wearing one of their shirts right now. Got a koozie, stickers,
Yeah.
t-shirts, collared shirts to wear to work. I'm gonna buy. They have Yeti coolers with their brand on it. I'm gonna put that on top of my desk at work with a plant because the cubicles are like at eye height for everybody. So everyone uses the stuff on top of the cubicles as waypoints. Not everybody has stuff on top, but if I put something like a Blue Yeti cooler with a plant up there, people will use it as a waypoint and hopefully come talk to me about things. That's like a $200 cooler that I'm gonna buy, and the plant's gonna be expensive too.
Yeah.
And then also one of your strategies, Tyler has told me before, he's like one sale, like one client should lead to at least two more. Like the Hydra heads, you should get at least two more from all of them, right? Haven't gotten any more from this closing that we had last week. Part of the reason is because I haven't done any outreach yet to do that. But my strategy here is to send out mailers to the neighborhood. So I used the Brevard County Property Appraiser's website to get, or maybe it was the MLS tool. One of the tools I have can generate a mailing list for a certain neighborhood, and you can deselect or select certain houses, right? So I can take that mailing list and couple it with a flyer that basically says, hey, this house just sold in your neighborhood. We found the buyer for the property. We can find you more buyers if you want to sell your house. Let me list your house with you or schedule a listing appointment, whatever.
Mm.
And then you pair that with your mailing list, send it to this company that Blue Marlin uses, and then they'll send out all the mailers, right?
Got it.
So I'm gonna draft 3 different letters. One of them is gonna be, hey, just so you know, this house sold in your neighborhood, your house could be worth more. One of them is gonna have a call to action saying, hey, reach out, I'll come do a CMA. And then the last one is gonna be, hey, it's a handwritten letter, not all handwritten, but customized letter. I'll probably type it, but it's gonna be, hey, I see that you bought your house in 2017 for $130,000. I think that it could be worth $300,000 now. I'd like to come take a look and do a CMA for you to get a better estimate. This house in your neighborhood just sold for 285. I think we can do better than that. So it's like a direct call to action. And then after that is when I'll go door knocking and I'll say, hey, you may have gotten my flyers. My name is Mason. Want to introduce myself. Here's the numbers I have for your property. So
Cool.
that's my strategy for that. All of that's going to cost money. So I'm glad that the closing paid the way that it did because now I have the money to go do these mailers and stuff.
Very nice.
One of my last updates is that I went through Quicken, and I have that totally finalized and finished up. So all of my expenses for the past 2 years are now categorized and updated. The past 3 months this year were stronger than every month that I had last year. Not a single month in 2024 was as strong as January, February, March, or March, April, May of this year in terms of income and spending. So I'm spending a little bit less and earning a little bit more. Every month last year was negative. I just lost money last year. It didn't make anything.
Yeah.
And then this year, all of the months this year have been green, but some of them barely, and then some of them were good. The past 3 months were better than everything else last year.
Yeah. I don't think I've had a green month in a while.
Yeah,
It's hurting.
yeah.
Hurting.
And then I started doing the tax thing that we talked about earlier, recording my the things I can write off my taxes. I'm already at $3,000 of write-off. So that commission check that I earned is essentially tax-free because that was $2,000. I'm writing off $3,000, so that falls within that. So it's a cool feeling to know, oh, I'm making money and I'm not gonna have to pay tax on that because a lot of the expenses offset from that are deductible.
Yeah.
So that was cool. And then my last update is that I think I might have fumbled a lead yesterday, but I'm not sure. It's someone who goes to the kava bars, so I'm going to be able to see them again. But yesterday I was so fucking brain fried and tired that they asked me, they were like, oh, like, are you like a realtor? And I was like, I am. And she was like, oh, what do you know about foreclosed properties? And I was like, oh, actually, we just had a client that was interested in buying one. Sometimes foreclosed properties have issues, so it's easier for like an all cash buyer to buy them because you don't have to worry about getting financing, whatever. And I was like, oh, dude, like I ended up leaving. She was like, oh yeah, like I gave her one of Grace's business cards because I'm still waiting on my business cards to get mailed. And she was like, oh cool, I'll reach out. And I left and I was like, there's probably a better way I could have handled that. And then I broke down exactly how I should have handled that, which is using Alex Hermosi's acknowledge, associate, and ask technique. So when she was like, what do you know about foreclosed properties? I could be like, oh, what are you looking to know? I know a lot about them or whatever. Instead of just saying shit, I should have asked instead. So next time I see her, I'm going to go with Grace. I'll introduce her to Grace, and then I'll be like, would you like to tell us more about what you're looking for? And then I can go from there. But I was just so fucking tired yesterday. And so last night I went to bed on time because I was like, I'm fucking not losing any sales because I'm sleepy and not thinking.
That's something that I've been really struggling with. I've realized that like talking with people in general, I've been sleeping very little. Which sleeping very little is okay when I don't have to talk to anyone.
Yeah.
Because I'm literally struggling right now, but like the functionality between my brain, what I'm able to conjure up or produce in here, and then through my like consciousness, like type out or work on my laptop, that's like one connection that I feel like can be relatively retained even on a little sleep.
Yeah.
But when I ask whatever's up here to be verbalized, I have a very challenging time with it on like a lower level of sleep, or a more challenging time with it on a lower level of sleep. So
I'm
it's
the
like
same way.
communicating with other people, like I've noticed it's very challenging with me when I'm sleep deprived, but like to work at home in isolation and just kind of like type and work in my own head and like not really talk to anyone and like pet my cat, like that's all easier under a little sleep. But yeah, communication's real friggin' tough.
Yeah. I'm experiencing the same thing. So working on getting more sleep. But that's my business update.
Cool.
What's your life update?
So life this week, excuse me, I sold the hydraulic press. Got a little bit of money from that. Made eBay listings for some of the items that I have. I have a couple on the back burner as like emergency need. So I have a couple Hot Wheels that are worth like a few hundred a pop.
Did you message Al?
No, I forgot.
You should text him.
Yeah, I'll text him. I'll text him Happy Memorial Day today, and I'll message him.
Oh, he's a vet.
Yeah,
It's a great idea.
perfect.
Great idea.
So I'll do that after the podcast. But BMW has not been worked on. That's literally what I'm going home to do after this.
Got it.
Because that needs to get done. I have an alignment appointment tomorrow, and I borrowed tools for this weekend to do it.
So it's got to get done today.
It has to get done. Yeah. The reason I pushed off was because I wanted to release ads, which then immediately got locked up after €6 of spending. So that was a really nice effort there. But hopefully I can get them back up and running soon. But BMW work is happening today.
Cool.
It needs quite a bit of work, so that'll be busy. Miata AC is broken. Blew up the compressor again. Solid.
Just drop the top.
Yeah.
At
least it's not summer coming up.
Why does it always happen like as summer is starting?
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah.
Do you have one more compressor?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah, but I gotta get a new expansion valve, and the whole system has to come apart, and all the lines have to be flushed. Condenser has to be flushed. Evaporator has to be flushed.
And that was the last factory condenser like ever, right?
Yes, I bought the last one in the country.
Is it a compressor or condenser?
Compressor.
Got it. Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, I got an eBay rebuild one that I pulled the clutch off of as a part. So what I'm gonna do is take the current compressor off, pull the clutch back off of it, and then put it on the eBay compressor that needs the clutch. So I'm gonna mix and match parts. It's so fucking ghetto. I hate it, but hopefully I can get AC back in that car at some point. It's not a pressing concern. I really don't have the time, bandwidth, or money in order to like even spend $100 right now. So that's back burner, but the car still runs and drives. I did get my coil packs. So those will go in the car. Actually, I could do those today. Those are really easy. And I already have them, so I could throw those in. But
cool.
Additionally, I wrote here. Oh yeah. So I was on YouTube yesterday, and I was scrolling around, checking out other Cosworth line watches.
Yeah.
And I just typed in some general stuff like Cadola Cosworth, blah, blah, and this YouTube video popped up, and it was this watch, the Senna watch. I was like, oh, cool. And I clicked on it, and it was number 071 of 125.
Okay.
This watch is 071 of 125.
You know, the guy I bought it from had an eBay listing, and he had a video attached to it. I wonder if he posted that video
Yeah,
to YouTube.
yeah.
Oh, that's
That's
so
like
cool.
it's the same watch.
Oh, that's so
And
cool.
it's so funny because he's reviewing literally this exact
Yeah,
watch on
yeah.
his YouTube channel,
That's funny.
and he's like, "Yeah, I really like the watch, but the clasp doesn't quite clasp all the time." And mine does the same thing.
It's
It like half clasps and sometimes it fully clasps. So I have to make sure to like press it really hard.
closes all the way.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I was like, "Oh man, like it still does it."
That's so crazy. What's even crazier is that there are so few of them that the only review online is the one that you have.
Right. Yeah, it's really funny.
That's ironic.
And so I watched the video. It was like a 6-minute video, and he was just talking about the watch a little bit and whatever. And I was like, "That's the one. That's literally the one."
That's so
And so I dropped a message to him, and I was like, "Hey, love the video. I actually now own this exact watch,
Yeah.
71 of 125. I wear it every day. Absolutely love it. I gave you a follow and look forward to future content."
yeah. That's awesome, dude.
So I dropped him a message. I don't know if he responded or will respond. He seems like he responds to most people, so maybe he'll see it.
That's cool, dude.
Um,
You know, watch people. I've been watching Nico Leonard
Mm.
on YouTube a lot to try to understand the watch community better. What's awesome about the watch community is they have specific watches tied to specific events and specific memories. So it's not like to most people, I think it's probably like, oh, do you remember that car you had in high school that you
Yeah.
sold when you went to college or broke down and you had to get it scrapped or whatever, right? Do you remember the fond memories you had with that car? It's kind of like that. It's like, oh, I have fond memories with that specific watch. So if you're the new owner of a watch that he used to own, I am almost positive that he'll respond to you at some point.
yeah, if he
Say like
sees it,
this,
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But yeah, it was just so funny to see. I saw the video. I was like, hold up, like I think I have a 71 of 125, and then I popped it off. I was wearing it.
Yeah, yeah.
And I popped it off. I was like, oh shit, like
This is funny, dude.
this is like the watch.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I was like, hey. So that was pretty cool. And another watch related update is I wear the watch all the time.
Yeah.
It's the first thing I put on when I get up in the morning, and it's the last thing I take off.
Mhm.
And I may take it off for like an hour or two, like around like 1 or 2 a.m. because like my wrist is like, okay, I need a break. And so I'll put it and I'll put it right next to my laptop, like facing me,
Uh-huh.
and then I'll like put it back on after, from like my 2 to 4 a.m. run. And one thing, side note, is that I've actually really enjoyed wearing a watch because I always shat on people who like wore watches all the time because I was like, why do you need a fucking watch? You could tell your time on your phone.
Yeah.
Like honestly, it is so convenient to have the time on you. Like straight up, it is really convenient because like
Yeah.
I'll be driving or whatever and I can look.
Yeah.
Or I'll be at work in a space where you're not allowed to have your phone and I can look at the time.
Yeah.
Like it is actually, and like now, if I like, there are a couple days where I've forgotten to wear it,
Mhm.
and like I will instinctually look at my wrist to like check the time, and
Yeah.
it won't be there, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like,
Yeah.
what's the time? Right? And so I actually genuinely enjoy it, even from a functionality perspective, not just like a style piece.
Yeah.
Um,
That's awesome, dude.
but yeah, I've been enjoying it. And my side note update is that my computer, it has this like black anodized coating on it. I think that's the term for it. And the left corner is wearing that black anodized coating.
Watch?
Yeah, it's like becoming like a brushed aluminum
That's
from where my watch rubs on the
That's so
bezel as I'm typing and writing. So,
Yeah. That's awesome.
yeah,
When I eventually get one, it'll probably be a while. I want one with a chronograph in it so I can track the time, like a
Yeah.
stopwatch kind of thing as well. I haven't decided which one I want to get yet, but it's not like I have the money for it. So I
yeah.
got time.
Yeah, my other life update, I guess, is definitely really waiting for the paycheck to hit this Friday.
Yeah.
I'm quite literally running on fumes. I had to double check some subscriptions to ensure that they weren't going to recharge in the next 5 days because I have $190 in my bank account.
Yep.
Which is why this new ad account issue is such a problem too.
Yeah.
Is because I have $800 locked up with them
Yep.
right now, and it's like that is 4 times my net worth.
Yeah.
I
Exactly.
was like, guys, like like
Hey.
yeah, like so I'm pushing them to refund it because I'm just
Yeah.
so sick of the issues and I'm burning so much money with their accounts.
Yeah.
But yeah, that I'm just
I think.
praying I can get through the week and make it to Friday.
Yeah.
But oh man, I had one more thing to add on, and now I blanked.
I've got something you can think
Yeah.
about it. My February or March update. was pretty close to the same thing, where it was like, okay, I have less than $200 in my bank account. I get paid on Thursday and rent is due Friday. So I get to keep approximately half of a paycheck, right?
Yeah.
And so I was down at the end of that paycheck going into the next one in like mid-March. I had like $80 in my bank account or something like that. And I was like, yeah, tight. But my saving grace was I didn't have to pay April rent. And then on top of that, I got the tax refund. And then on top of that, I got a bonus from work. And then on top of that, in May, I
Yeah.
got the real estate closing.
I don't ever
It
think I got
started
my
to
tax
be-
refund, so I gotta look at it.
Really?
I don't think I ever got it.
I would get on top of that.
Yeah.
ASAP.
I don't have that much. It's like $250.
Dude, that's twice your net worth.
Yeah, that is factual.
Wait, your tax refund is only $250?
Yeah, they didn't withhold like a lot more than
Really?
yeah.
Oh,
I
man.
guess. I mean, when I filed the TurboTax, it would have said,
Damn, really? That's crazy.
I don't know.
Huh.
Maybe TurboTax did it wrong or did it conservatively, and I just fucked myself.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I'm not sure.
I already filed it. It's too late now.
You
I'm gonna do my own taxes next year.
You can refile. If you look into it and you're like, oh, this should be $3,000, you can refile.
Yeah.
But
I'll think about it.
maybe Deck 4 is better.
What I really should do is I need to refile for previous years that I've filed for Massachusetts while living in Florida, because I have state income tax that I can get back.
Yeah.
That's about $2,000
Yeah.
that I can get back.
Yeah. I don't know anything about that process.
Your mom texted me a very long time ago, a step-by-step, and as all good people do with free information, they ignore it, and that's exactly what I did. And so that's something I should do.
Actually, it's not even free information. It's you would have gotten paid for that information.
I know. It's
From IRS. Yeah.
worse.
That sucks, man.
It's my own fault. I should have done it. But that's something I can do.
Well, I had hyped you up saying that the tax refund was going to be huge because my tax refund was huge.
Yeah.
But
Oh, I mean,
Deck 4 doesn't.
it's whatever, you know. Oh, the other thing is I got a new personal credit card with Amex, American Express. They offered me a $30K credit limit, which is just under 3 times more than what I currently have with Chase, and they offered at 0% APR for 12 months.
Hell yeah.
So I did a balance transfer, or I initiated a request for a balance transfer from Chase to Amex. It hasn't been approved yet. It takes up to 2 weeks.
Got it.
And that's pending approval. So hopefully it actually is approved, because that would definitely help me out.
Right.
But just working through those things, getting that stuff sorted. But that's been pretty much life. A lot of life has just been business and getting anxious about car work that needs to be done and not doing it because of other business stuff.
Yeah.
So today has to be the day where I do that work.
Yeah.
Saturday I didn't do it, and I told myself I'd do it on Sunday, and then I was working through Saturday, and I was like, I'm still not done with this business stuff. Not have to, but I would rather do this business stuff and push it off the car stuff another day and get these ads with the potential to be released Monday morning.
Yeah.
Than to sit on this business stuff that I really should do and do the car work instead Sunday. So I just kind of reordered a couple things. And today will be car work. And then I'm hoping to finish the car work around 9 or 10 p.m. That way I can have 4 to 6 hours in the evening to button up business stuff.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I'm shooting for. I don't know how the control arms are going to go. That kind of thing. It's hit or miss.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes control arms you can knock out each side in 30, 45 minutes, and sometimes it takes 2 hours. So.
Did you get them with bushings pre-installed, or are you?
Yes, I am not fucking with bushing.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I got the whole arm.
Shouldn't be that bad then, right?
It shouldn't be. The trick is that sometimes it's just seized up in the actual knuckle on the wheel side. Getting the ball joint out. I've ordered the ball joint tool.
If only you had a hydraulic press to press the ball joint out. If it's stuck,
I wouldn't have been able to use my press for that.
is it not strong enough?
Well, I can't get it under the car. I got to press it out of the wheel. Like the arm, the wheel. I got to use like those little AutoZone things, like the clamp. You guys, you know what I'm talking about? Yeah. Yeah. So that can go one of two ways. It can either be a 45, 30-minute job, or it can be a 2-3 hour job. Decide. So I just don't know yet. I just got to get into it. But while I'm in there, I'll do front brakes. And then I'm also, if I have the time after the mechanical stuff is done, mechanical stuff is priority because I have an alignment appointment tomorrow. Yeah, I don't want to miss.
Yep.
Outside of that, I have interior stuff that I can do right now. The primary focus being the seat cables.
Hmm.
But yeah, I'll try to do those and my driver's side seatbelt buckle because I can do those things at the same time. So just a couple odd things that I'm trying to sort out.
Do you need a ride home from the alignment appointment?
I'm gonna wait for it because I have an appointment like time at 9 a.m. It honestly shouldn't take more than an hour, but at worst case scenario, I've seen it take like 2.5 hours. And at that
Do we
point,
to drive it now and we can work there until it's done?
I can work there in their office space. But worst case scenario, even if it runs to 11:30, I can just leave from there, immediately go to work.
Gotcha.
So
Cool.
I should be okay. If I run into issues, I'll let you know.
Sweet.
But I really am hoping the car gets done quickly because I don't really want to leave it there and then drive the Miata around with no AC in the 90-degree heat.
Yeah. Well,
Uh,
I got the Kia and the Camaro done a few weeks ago, and we dropped off the Kia, and Bobby called me 2 hours later on the dot, came
yeah,
back, dropped off the Camaro, hour 45,
yeah.
called me again. Like they
They'll
do
work
everything
quick,
quick
yeah.
the other week. Yeah.
Yeah, they've always been good to me, so I don't expect any issues.
Yeah.
But that was pretty much my life update. But
Awesome.
what you got?
I got the Bean app that Grace uses to track her mood.
Yeah.
We talked about that at the end of last.
I downloaded it and then put in one day and then didn't fill out the other categories because I was like, this looks complicated, and then went back to business stuff.
What other categories?
There's like a whole bunch of categories of like
Oh,
why
yeah.
you
Yep.
why you put like smile or frown.
Yeah.
And then it's got like a bunch of others.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh man, this is complicated. And it also didn't have any of the ones I wanted, so I would have had to customize it. And I was like, fuck,
Yeah.
I gotta make ads. So
That's
I just went and made ads.
That's what I did. I got in and I was like, "Oh my god, I have to like customize this. I don't want to do this right now." Grace was like, "Do it now because you're not gonna ever do it again." It's like, okay, so
I didn't have Dylan to tell me to do that, so
Yeah,
I'll
to
do
do
this
it, yeah.
later. Yeah.
Yeah. I've been filling it out every day. I have a notification set up from the app to ring at midnight every night. So as I'm going to bed, I can check it and update it. So I've been doing that every day consistently, which is good. My work travel was moved again from late May to June 3rd through the 4th. Um, there's other guys that are traveling with me that have to stay an extra 2 days from the 2nd to the 5th, but I don't. I only have to go for the middle days, which is nice, but I still don't want to do it. And then my last life update is a realization that I had earlier this week.
Mhm.
So, last month, the top selling agent at Blue Marlin sold like $3.2 million in real estate, which the commission for that is like 90K, right?
Uh-huh.
The car that I want, the Cadillac, the CTS-V Blackwing, is like 130 grand. Buying it new at 130, which I would never do. The monthly car payment over like a 60-month loan is like $2,300 a month,
Okay.
which is more than my
Is that 0 down?
no, that's with like 10K down or something
Okay.
like that. It's not a big down payment.
Yeah.
Um, so like 2,300 a month, right? So my thoughts are, okay, I can afford that car when I have the down payment plus $2,300 a month being like less than half of my income because I'm not going to spend more than half of my income on a car, right? And so I was thinking about it and I was like, dude, at 90K a month, that's a trivial number. $2,000 a month is trivial. If you're making 90,000 a month, that's ridiculous. That's crazy. That's a crazy number to me right now, right? And I was thinking about it and then I was like, yeah, but
Oh, his commission was 90K a month?
yeah, last month he sold $3 million in real estate and earned $90,000 in commission.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so at $90,000 in commission, okay, my rent is $1,700, my car payment's $2,200, and I have $92,000 left over to play
Yeah.
with, right?
Yeah.
And so at that point, it doesn't even matter. But I thought about it and I was like, I'm probably not going to get to 3 million a month this year. It'd be cool to get a new car this year at some point, right? The plan is Miata. Always has been, always will be Miata. But I was thinking about what's a nicer car that I could buy, like the Cadillac, that I could bring to like multi-million-dollar listings and not look like a total piece of shit because I'm not taking the Camaro, right? And then I thought about it and I was like, so Al just paid $160,000 for his brand new C8 Z06 customized to him, right?
Yeah.
But the supply and demand is happening with C8s where they're making so many C8s that they're going down in value because there's less demand. And C8s have been selling in the like brand new base model C8s, so like mid-engine, 420 horsepower or whatever, in the $60,000 range. And I don't see that going up anymore. I only see that going down. So by the end of this year or early next year, there could be C8s, like new C8s going for sale, new used maybe, for like 50,000. At which point that car payment is like 800 a month, which is way more manageable if I can up my income to not quite 90,000 a month, but like maybe if I can get my income up to like 10,000 a month, right? Then $800 isn't as big
Yeah.
a deal, and I could get a C8 Corvette, which would be fucking sick. So a little bit of more attainable motivation for me. Because even thinking about getting a Miata, it's like I really want to get a Miata, but I also know I'm gonna really want to do a lot of stuff to the Miata, which means doing a lot of like actual gear turning on the Miata. And Sander's gonna hate that. So if if I could have another toy where it's like, hey, if like once a month we have a Miata weekend where we work on the Miata, and also Sander's cars, and that'd be cool. But a C8 Corvette, any work that's needed, I wouldn't own the car outright, so I'd take it to the dealership.
Yeah, I really in the next year I'd really love to, well, ideally by the end of this year that'd be so sick if things actually take off and work well. My goal would be Ferrari 308 GTSI,
Mm-hmm.
older Ferrari. Um not anything that's like by the books, the greatest Ferrari ever made, but it has like a sentimental place for me.
How much
And
it does, Rock?
70-ish.
That's not bad. That's
Yeah.
not bad.
Yeah. So 70-ish and a E39 BMW M5. The
Mm-hmm.
M5 version of the E39 I currently have
Mm-hmm.
is something I'd really love as a sedan.
Where's
And those are 35.
okay,
So I need like 100K for
both cars.
both. Those two side by side, like I'd be really stoked to have those side by side as like the choice cars for the day.
In a brand new house that your best friend sold you.
That's right. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I would probably need to find a different place to live
yeah,
at that
honestly.
point, because I don't know if I want a Ferrari 308 and an M5 and a Miata all parked outside.
And a Porsche in the garage.
Yeah, and a Porsche in the garage all parked. Same ghetto ass Pitflex and sour.
Porsche that doesn't run, but you have a Ferrari in the driveway. That's so funny.
It would be a really funny photo though, getting a Ferrari delivered on a 16-wheeler into like this dumpy duplex. Like, that would be a really funny photo.
They're like, "Do you want us to roll it in the garage?" And you're like, "I got a Porsche in there." They're like, "Can I see it?" And you roll it up. And
It's like $1,000 914.
yeah, they're like, "Huh?" They're like, "You're gonna keep this in the garage?" And you're like, "Yeah, it'd look ugly out front." Even better. I don't want anything to happen to it. And they're like, "This is a Ferrari, Homer. What are you talking about?" That's so
It
funny.
would be a really funny photo though.
That would be.
But yeah, that's a good first dream cars.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Okay, we have an actual podcast topic to talk about this week.
Yes, we do.
Cool. So that's life and business update done. I have less written this week because I didn't write this until last night and this morning, but here we go. It's a cool topic.
Yeah.
So today's podcast is on regret and failure, when to pick between the two, and how their relationships are with each other. So segment 1 is how regret and failure differ. I have noticed a pattern recently in which people confuse regret for failure and vice versa. An event will not go their way, also known as failure, and they'll regret the actions they took even if they did everything correctly. Inversely, they'll try something they're uncertain of in an attempt to avoid the regret and end up feeling like a failure when it doesn't go well. In both scenarios, a person tries, they fail, and they experience the feeling of regret and failure at the same time. The irony here is that I define regret and failure as like completely different experiences, almost opposites, honestly. Regret is a feeling I experience as a result of not trying, or in other words, not experiencing failure or success.
Yeah.
So have you noticed people doing this? And do you think that's valid?
Yeah, I think a lot of people will experience regret and failure synonymously.
Yeah.
They'll regret, it's tough because it's actually very funny you bring this up, because my definition for regret is the wish to have done something different in the past in hopes of a better today. So it is definitionally, from my perspective, the lack of action.
Yeah.
You wish you would have done this and you didn't, and now you regret it because if that thing had potentially gone well, you'd be living a better life today,
Mm-hmm.
right? So that's kind of how I defined it out. But I think a lot of people take the experience of regret of, oh, I wish I'd done this, and then they immediately draw a line to failure.
Yeah.
I didn't do this, so I failed.
Right.
Right. And I think that there's a divergence in the path of when you regret, by the standard definition of regret of I wish X,
Yeah.
right? Um, you can either view that as I wish X, so I'm going to do this instead in hopes of succeeding, or I wish X because but even if you go down the failure path where it's like, I wish I hadn't done that or had done that, and I failed, you can view that failure as a road to success. But I don't think a lot of people make that connection. A lot of people have regret because of a failure.
Mhm.
And so I've definitely seen a lot for failure. I defined it kind of on that train of thought as an impactful past action that has the potential to change your perception and action today. So failure is failure is um oh man, the core difference being regret is a feeling of wishing the past were different, but failure is a driving set of facts both can or may not influence your actions today. So
Yeah.
failure is the opportunity to influence your actions today. Regret is just a feeling that you have of wishing the past were different.
Yeah, failure is a categorization of an event, and
Yeah.
regret is an emotional result of events that didn't happen.
Exactly, exactly, and I think that people often mesh the two together because they see it as the feeling. I think a lot of people see the feeling of regret driving failure, whereas failure is a a set of facts or a baseline that can drive your potential to fail or succeed in the future.
Yeah.
It's up to you to make that distinction, but regret does not automatically just foster failure inherently, which then doesn't just foster regret. Like
Yeah.
it's not this continual cycle of like regret and failure, regret and failure, regret
Yeah.
and failure. Like you can break that cycle in the failure box by using it in order to educate yourself about a different set of things that you can try today, and
Mhm.
then with the potential of generating the success in the future.
Yeah, I think that people are uncomfortable with failure, and so then they regret the actions that they took that resulted in the failure, even
Yeah.
if it wasn't their fault. So it's
Yeah.
like, you can be upset about the car accident that you got in, right?
Sure.
And you can regret getting in the car that day. But at the end of the day, an old lady parked it in front of you parallel or perpendicular in the road. You didn't do anything wrong. She did everything wrong. You can, and so people are upset with with the outcome, and they want to blame something for it. And ultimately, when you point your finger, the power flows with whoever you're pointing at, right? So if
Mhm.
you point it at yourself, then you can regret your actions. But I think the core issue there is that if you regret your actions, you're telling yourself that you wish you had done something differently without recognizing whether you could have or should have known, right? I feel like regret comes with, like, you wouldn't regret making a mistake that you didn't even know was a problem, right? So like if the sales manager walked in here and he was like, "Mason, you're not allowed to record in here." I'd be like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know." I don't regret it because I didn't understand, right? But if we came in here and Owen was like, "You can't do this," and then next week I try to come back and then he comes in and he's like, "Dude, what the fuck?" Now I regret my actions because I should have known better, right? I
Mhm.
feel like the phrase "I should have known better" is tied to regret. So yesterday, Grace had a problem. She was beating herself up because she was like, "I keep fucking up this week." Um, she forgot to buy a tomato at the grocery store, and so I was in the middle of meal prep. She had to run back out.
Mhm.
She did an open house for a friend, and usually with open houses, you show up to the house, you unlock the lockbox, you walk in the house. The state you find the house in is the state you leave the house in, right? So when she walked into this house, all the lights were on, the door to the back patio was unlocked. So when she left the lights on, left the door to the back patio unlocked, but she forgot to lock the front door, right? Rookie mistake, shouldn't be making that mistake. She beat herself up over it, right? The problem is the owner or neighbor of the owner, I really don't know what the situation was. They were upset because she left the lights on in the back door to the patio unlocked. And she was like, "But I found it that way." And it's standard practice, like the NAR, National Association of Realtors, teaches you to leave the house how you found it. So, yes, I fucked up with the front door, but I didn't do the rest of the stuff. And they tried to bundle everything together by saying, "You're just lazy, you didn't do anything." She's like, "No, I intentionally didn't touch the lights or the back patio door, and I fucked up and forgot the front door," right?
Yeah.
So she was really beating herself up about it. And I was like, "Hey, it's good you feel this way because next time you go to leave a house, you're going to remember to lock the front door. You fucked up. You should have known. You didn't do it, but this is the first time you made the mistake, so you're not going to make it again."
Right. Right.
And I think that the feeling of I should have known better to lock the front door is that feeling of regret. It's like,
I think a lot of people take that kind of situation though, and even if they went through a given life event and there was a mistake made along the way, or even if they did everything right from their perspective and the outcome was poor,
right.
they'll still feel regret because there's always a like before event that you can go to be like, I regret doing that.
Yeah.
Even if you didn't know any better. Like for example, with the showing, right? It could have been the example of, oh, I regret not walking the front door, right? But it also, like, even if Grace had walked the front door and left it exactly how it was, and the neighbor still complained, she could have regretted not contacting the owner to confirm that that's how they wanted the house left.
Right.
She could have regretted, like in the potential extreme scenario, you could have regretted showing the house in the first place if you felt so terrible about it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like there's always like a layer to go back to of something to regret about. And that's why I think it's really important to have a mindset shift of, okay, this is regrettable or not regrettable. It led to a set of facts that are either success or failure.
Yeah.
Now, what action am I going to do today based on success or failure in order to drive my understanding of the situation I'm in today and uh, fuel my actions for tomorrow?
Yeah.
That's the really important time. And I don't think most people I've seen at least go through life have an effective path between their success or failure driven by regret or lack thereof and what they are actually going to do today. They just
Yeah.
have a perspective on the past, but then there isn't much influence to change today and the future.
Yeah.
But that's broad spectrum how I've always viewed regret and failure to differ.
Yeah. I have the key distinction between failure and regret being they're on different operating planes. So the opposite of failure is success, and that's the result of an action, right? It's either the event hit the goal or it didn't, failure or success. And then regret is how you feel about that. So it's either regret or I have gratitude as an example, right?
Mhm.
So it's something went well and you're grateful for the help that it happened, or something failed and you regret the actions that you took or trusting the people that you did, right? And so I have regret as an emotional response to the failure or success of the situation, right?
Yep.
Segment two.
Segment two.
All right, segment two. So segment two is on how fear of failure leads to regret. Most of us are taught from a young age that failure is a bad thing that we should all strive to avoid. Some experience this so intently they're afraid to try things they might enjoy if there's even a small chance that it might result in failure. In some instances, other people will take the risk and succeed, leaving the person in our example to experience FOMO, like fear of missing out, which is a form of regret. In other instances, they think, they analyze, they toss and turn, and they take too long and ultimately miss their chance to take the opportunity at all, which also results in regret. When all of this is said and done, I feel that failure can be represented by opening a door and viewing the fallout of something gone wrong. But regret is never opening the door in the first place. You're missing out on the opportunity because you didn't take the
Yeah.
action.
Yeah. It's the lack of action
Yeah.
that I think, at least in my life, has driven regret. Um,
Yeah.
and yeah, like we said in segment one, too, or failure is just a set of facts.
Yep.
It's an outline of what happened on a
Yeah.
factual basis. And the fear of failure often results in stagnation, and stagnation can result in regret because there's
Mhm.
a lack of action.
Yep.
Um, but there's the fear of failure, I think, is what a lot of people experience. And then as soon as they test something and it doesn't go perfectly, or their perspective on it is that it didn't go perfectly, they immediately jump to regret of either trying the thing in the first place, or I think they either jump to um, wishing they'd done it differently, or more commonly, I've seen people jump to, oh, I wish I hadn't tried in the first place.
Yeah.
Like this doesn't work, or
I wait.
I wish I wasted my time. I wish I hadn't done this. This is stupid,
Right.
right? Um, it's I hope that more people can go through a mindset shift where um, they can go for things that they wouldn't have gone for otherwise, and really make the jump and the leap, whatever your dreams are. Because I think at least from my perspective, I'd much rather live a life that I failed in the pursuit of success than one where I regretted not trying in the first place, and
Yeah.
I hope and pray that, I can make it and be successful. Um, but I'd rather die trying than not try at all. I think
Yeah.
that's a lot harder of a reality to live with if you've never even tried.
Yeah. It's easier for me to sit with the knowledge that I did everything I could and wasn't able to make it happen than the unknown quantity of not even having tried. Because if I didn't
Yeah.
even try in the first place, then who's to say I couldn't have done it? But also, who's to say I could have done it? Then it's just semantics, right? It's now we're talking hypotheticals. But, you know, if the punishment for not trying is not succeeding, or if the punishment for trying and not succeeding is not succeeding, then there's pretty much a guarantee by not trying that you don't succeed, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's like the cliche overused Michael Jordan quote that's you miss all the shots you don't take.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's exactly that. It's man, there's a great example that I can't think of off the top of my head, but it's almost like um it's like applying for jobs,
Mm,
right? If there's a job that you're not sure you're going to like or not and it pays more than you have now, the job that you just interviewed for, right? Not sure I'm going to like
Late interview sent my resume for, but yeah.
there you go. Yeah. Job I'm not sure that I like or not, probably pays more. I don't know, right? If you don't apply, you definitely don't get the job. If you do apply and you try, and maybe you get an interview and maybe the interview goes well, and maybe they offer you the job, now you can decide if you want the job or not. But right now, you're not even giving yourself the option. Or not you, but like a person.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you don't apply, you don't even give yourself the option, which is
Yeah.
why it's so funny to me when people are like, oh, I don't want that job. And I'm like, you don't even have the choice of not wanting that job because you haven't even tried for that job, right? It's like me saying, oh, well, I don't want to be a psychiatrist. And it's like, well, guess what? You haven't gone to school for it. You don't know anything about it. You don't even have the choice to not be a psychiatrist. Like you you don't have the opportunity to turn down yet
Yeah.
because you haven't even gotten that far.
Yeah. I mean, but I think it's fair to um, I think it's fair to feel like, okay, based on my limited perspective and understanding, I prefer this over this, and therefore I don't want to pursue whatever, right?
Sure.
Like, I'm not gonna go and pursue, um,
Underwater basket.
becoming, sure, or like, becoming a monk in the Colorado woods. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
I could, I know nothing about it, but based on my limited understanding of what it would probably entail, all probability, like, I would rather not have that life in comparison to the one I have right now.
Right. I guess what I'm trying to say is that you by not trying, you don't even have the choice of success
For
because
sure.
by not trying, you'll never succeed.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Um, so I have written here ultimately, fear stops you from trying, and not trying means an event doesn't occur. If you wish you had, then you're experiencing regret.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's the fear of failure that stops you from trying, and then not trying results in regret. So if you can overcome your fear of failure and then you try, you're less likely to experience regret, in my opinion, because I have never felt regret shooting a shot and missing, right?
Yeah. I think a lot of people do.
Which is interesting to me because for me, it's like I'm not gonna regret like, you know, the Michael Jordan expression is awesome because it's like what like why would I regret a shot I haven't taken yet, right?
Mm,
Miss 100% of the shots you haven't taken. I'll take the shot even if I don't know anything about shooting a basketball. I'll probably miss. I'm okay with missing. I'm not a basketball player. If I'm uncomfortable with that fact, then I can train and get better at doing basketball, right? The only regret I would feel in that situation is if I didn't try to shoot the basketball.
yeah.
Cuz then I would regret not even failing. Like for me,
Yeah.
the worst type of regret is not failing or succeeding, just not taking action and not doing anything.
Yeah. Stagnation is
Yeah,
intolerable.
grow or die.
Yeah. I I would much rather just continue to try and push,
Yeah.
than to like give up. Like, I can't do that. I can't just like stop trying and not care anymore and give up on hopes and dreams and goals and aspirations and give up on the potential to like help my family and the people around me, and like, no way.
Yeah.
Like, like, who am I to just like, it is It was really funny because I think genuinely, but the perspective that we have is a contrast to what a lot of people's perspective is. An example I have of it is I was talking with a coworker, just like very passively about like just theoretical, like, oh, like, would you ever consider starting a business or whatever, blah, blah, blah. And he was like, no, I wouldn't want to start a business because I like blaming my problems on other people. Like, that was just so far removed from, like, the perspective I have today, and I think at a certain point in my life, there was definitely that aspect. Like, when I was a kid, like, I didn't wanna get in trouble with my parents, so I'd blame it on something else or someone else, right? Like, definitely, but, like, there comes a time, I think, and, everyone I hope will get there at some point in their lives,
Mhm.
probably many won't, but, I think there comes a point where you gotta look at yourself and be like, "Am I going to go through the next 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years of my life and have the perspective that all my problems I'm going to aim to blame on other people?"
Mhm.
Like, is that really the life you wanna live?
Yeah.
Does that sound do you sound like a a contributing member of society when you
Right.
say that?
Right.
And like, I don't mean to shit on that person. I just like I hope better for them because it's like I really don't think you're gonna foster something genuinely impactful
Mm.
in your life or the people around you
Right.
by just blaming shit on others. Like,
Well,
that doesn't
if you
how is
bla
that constructive?
if you blame a problem that you have on someone else, they are not going to fix that problem for you.
Right.
So if you blame your problems on other people, it'll never get solved. You'll continue to
Yeah,
have
it's
problems and it
unsolvable.
won't get better. Right.
Right.
It's only in when you take accountability and blame yourself, for lack of a
Yeah, it's like with this ad ac ad account stuff, I got locked up with this agency. Like, I gave 'em a lot of grace to work with them, and, I looked past a lot of stuff for just giving them the opportunity,
mm,
like a second chance, and a second chance and a third chance and a fourth chance and a fifth chance. But,
yeah.
at a certain point, I was like, "Okay, this is an issue I'm having. I'm trying to make it work because it's more feasible for me right now, and I have a lot of other stuff in the business going on, like LLC, EIN, bank stuff, product stuff, ad stuff. Like, I'm just trying to make this simple,
Right.
but I cannot turn the other way on this issue anymore.
Mhm.
It is actually strategically impacting every other aspect of my business.
Yeah.
So now I'm taking the next step. How can I make this my fault? I could say, oh, it's just stupid meta, which I've said many times before. I still think meta is largely retarded when it comes to flagging. But I'm like, okay, I could continue to strictly blame this problem on other people and incapacitate myself from solving the issue, which I've bitched about it plenty on this podcast for sure. But I've always gone away from that bitching. I'm like, okay, what can I do? I can issue new accounts. I can get a new subscription. I can try to launch ads more slowly. Like, I always have some sort of resolution after I finish my bitch session. And, it's like now I'm at the point where it's like, okay, I've given this ad agency as much grace as I can. They've given me everything I needed to feel as though I was secured with these new accounts. They were stronger, they were better, they were more meta approved, they had all these blah, blah, blah things.
Yeah.
They still failed twice in the matter of 4 days. Twice in 4 days. So I'm like, okay, I can't trust these people.
Mhm.
What am I going to do about it?
Right.
So I move, right? And so that's what I'm working on now. But it's about, you know, if I were to just continue to blame my problems on them, I would never find even a potential resolution. I don't know if moving will be any better. Maybe moving will be worse. I don't know. But I know that the situation I'm in right now is infeasible to run my business
Right.
because I can't issue a new ad account every single week. It's impossible to operate a functioning business like that. It's
Right.
ridiculous.
Yeah, you're just switching paths.
So I have to do something else. Or, well, I've been trying to do this. I've been trying to get away from saying I have to, and I've been trying to push more towards I prefer to, right? Because technically speaking, I could run the rest of my life running with this agency and just issue new ad accounts all the time and run through these struggles for the next 70 years, right? But it is an option. It's not one I'm going to take, but it is an option, right? I prefer to seek another option that has the potential to be better than to stick with an option that has been consistently failing me over the past month and does not show potential for resolving.
Right.
So, that's but I don't think I wish that more people had that breakdown rather than just like crumbling down and just feeling regret and sadness and never doing anything about it.
Yeah.
You can do something about your problems. Go for it. Try.
Yeah. You just
know?
have to take accountability for it.
Yes,
People are
yes,
comfortable
that's
with
the
that.
first step.
Well, and I think the reason people aren't comfortable with it is because essentially accountability is just blaming yourself. And people don't want to be blamed for anything. And much less do they want to be the ones to blame themselves for it, right? Because it's kind of like social suicide,
Mhm.
right? But what's interesting is I watched a couple episodes of, have you ever heard of the show The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives? Have you heard of that?
No.
Okay, here's the premise. It's a reality TV show. So like think the Kardashians of a group of women who live in Utah and are part of the Mormon church.
Okay.
One of the members was like, a lot of the women in my life are kind of toxic. I'm not good friends with them. So I want to create a group of friends and I want to brand it and I want to call it Mom Talk, like TikTok. It's a group of moms, Mormon moms on
Mhm.
TikTok, right? Because having kids is a big part of the Mormon religion. So a lot of them have
Mom
phones.
talk is something very different.
What?
Like I've actually searched this up because I do a lot of content creation with moms,
Uh-huh.
and I thought, oh, I'll look up mom talk because that sounds like a clever phrase that moms would use to
Uh-huh.
talk about their TikTok content.
Yeah, that's what they
It's
do.
Mom talk is straight up moms doing like OnlyFans girl shit.
That's pretty much what this is.
Okay, got it.
Almost exactly what
Yeah,
this is.
it's just like viral TikTok dances with like
That's
4-year-olds.
exactly what this is.
Okay,
So
got it.
it's a
so
group-
we're on the same page.
Yes. It's a group of, actually, you've probably seen these exact.
I literally watched them trying to find, and I was like, this is not what I thought it would be at all.
You
And
should
then I
watch this
went a
show.
different
You
avenue.
should watch this show for market research. So it's a group of women. One of them was like, I want to create a group of friends and I want to monetize it, right? And so they created this TikTok account where they're all friends. They all do the viral TikTok dances. They get a bunch of views. They have their own businesses. One of them owns like a hair salon or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
And then they got picked up for a reality TV show. So of course, in my opinion, I get the impression that they over dramatize a few things, but I also am of the opinion that these people probably are not very emotionally mature. You probably wouldn't be getting a reality TV show if it were all fake, right? There's probably some reality there, right? But what's so fucking funny about this show to me is it's the secret lives of Mormon wives, right? So it follows like 10 women that are all in the same friend group slash business and like, they're always fighting with each other. The husbands are there. They're not a part of the show. And it's because all they talk about is like, it's either they're cheating and lying about it, or there's this one guy on the shows who's fucking hilarious because his girlfriend went to like a strip club with the other Mormon wives and he blew up about it because he was like, dude, like we're Mormon. I'm not comfortable with you doing these like lewd acts. And she was like, well, I didn't know we were going there. And like, I got in the limo and like, we just ended up there. And so like, what do you want me to do about it? And he was like, call me. I don't know. And he blew up about it. He got upset, right? I didn't watch that episode. I don't know. I've kind of jumped in and out of it as Grace watches the whole thing. But apparently she was like, you can't talk to me that way. And he was like, you can't go to strip clubs and have dudes grind up on you. And she was like, okay. And he was like, okay. And so they went to therapy together, right? And so he went through therapy. He must have absorbed every second of it because he's so emotionally mature compared to everybody else on the show now. He'd do great on this podcast. I think we could have a coherent conversation, right? But what's funny is that he is now interacting with the rest of the women on the show as if I were there, where he's like, why are you lying about this other thing? Why are you gaslighting her? Why do you care what she thinks? What the fuck is happening? Why do you guys act this way? And it's funny because apparently he had this turnaround in like 3 episodes or something. So it's like one therapy session solved like half of this problem, right? But what's so interesting is that I can now take all of my behavioral lessons from Hormozy and then watch people not follow those lessons on the show and recognize, oh, Hormozy lesson principle can apply here. And then this lady should do something different. And she makes a good point, but she's being blinded because she has vanity. And I don't know why she has vanity, but here's what she could do about it, whatever. So like, I'm like kind of, I'm working out what these different social structures look like using Hormozy's behavioral principles. And what's really interesting is watching people not see two sides of the same coin, right? So like one of the episodes last night was like one of the girls went to the Country Music Awards, right? This is a group of like 10 women and the ringleader went to this like special event. She posted about it on Instagram. All the other girls DM'd her and they were like, oh my God, so happy for you. But none of them said anything publicly on the Instagram post she made.
Oh yeah.
So she went on a live stream and was like, all my friends suck, they don't support me, whatever. And all her friends are like, bitch, we fucking texted you and called you. What are you talking about? She's like, yeah, but you didn't do it in public. Like you didn't publicly support me. And Mom Talk is supposed to be a support group. And so I'm like, okay, on the one hand, it is supposed to be a support group. That's what it's supposed to be. Like she created this because she wants people to boost her up, right? So vanity is kind of the goal. On the other hand, it's very, very vain. And other people probably don't give a fuck about that, right? But people take it way out of proportion, and then they go the opposite direction where they're like, you're just vain all the time. And that's not totally true. It's just this isolated incident, whatever, right? But it's interesting to watch people just fucking like pick a direction and then run that way and not even look at what's behind them. Like they don't even consider what the other perspective is, which is like, maybe I am being vain, and maybe being vain is an expectation set by this group. And if you don't like me being vain and you being vain in return, like if we're not going to glaze each other, then maybe you shouldn't be a part of the group. Like that rational conversation doesn't happen. But there's a running theme in the show of people doing bad apologies and not really meaning what they say because they don't actually take accountability and blame themselves for anything. They try to blame it on other things, which then creates the next season of TV, right? So on the one hand, it's like, well, maybe they're hamming it up for the TV.
Right.
This is ridiculous. But on the other hand, I genuinely think that people struggle to take accountability for those kinds of things.
Yeah, I think even in the case that it's being hammed up for TV, there's a reason that it's reality TV.
Right.
Yes.
There's some reality there.
Yeah, it's relatable, right? And so-
Yeah, exactly. You also mentioned something about venting. So I made this interesting note because venting, to me, I don't like that I vent. I don't mind listening to venting. And when I'm venting, I enjoy it. So I have this weird relationship with it. But I just had a thought. Venting is restating the problem and adding emotion.
Yeah,
That's what it is.
It
So
is.
venting is kind of a tool to better understand what's going on and how you feel about it. And then once you have processed those emotions or said them out loud, restating the problem is still there. You still have a good understanding of the problem. Now you can analyze your emotions and what emotions are attached to it too.
Yeah,
Which is also interesting.
I think that's very true. I think I also strive to get to the point where I don't need to vent to get out the emotional side of the issue in order to effectively solve the problem. I want to get to the point where I can experience something can happen. It wasn't great. Okay, what am I going to do about it? And immediately go into that phase.
Yeah.
Rather than, okay, something not great happened. Now I got to vent about it. And then I'm like ready to solve it. Like it just feels like a bitch move. But
Yeah.
it's not something that I've gotten to. It's something that I'll actively work on, over the coming years and probably my lifetime trying to perfect it. But
It's tough, but I started focusing on it a few months ago, and it's difficult because for me, events that I emotionally react negatively to aren't super common. But that is difficult because then I don't have a lot of opportunities to practice it, right? But yesterday, Grace did a load of laundry. She did a load of laundry Saturday night and dried the laundry Saturday night, sat in the dryer overnight. Sunday morning, she goes to fluff the clothes to get the wrinkles out and then folds them, right? She goes to fold them. I'm like, awesome. My new Blue Marlin shirts are in there. I get to wear a Blue Marlin shirt to whatever I was going to yesterday. So I put the shirt on, it shrunk. Everything in the load of laundry had shrunk. And I was pissed because these are brand new shirts that I was excited about. I was planning on wearing it yesterday. I am just between a medium and a large. So if a large shrinks, it's uncomfortably small on me. Not small enough that I can't wear it, but just small enough that I'm not comfortable. And so I was pissed that it happened, right? And ultimately, I was like, okay, I can get angry about it and I can yell and I can experience my emotions, and Grace is going to feel really bad. And she'll probably remember to do things differently next time. But like, just hold up, just figure out what actually happened, right?
Yeah.
And so the problem is that these are 100% cotton shirts, right? So when they are agitated and heated, they shrink.
yeah,
And so when you put them in the dryer when they're wet, their heat capacitance is way higher because they're wet. So the heat evaporates the water and then heats up the clothing. If they're already dry and then you set them to fluff with heat, then they heat up way faster. So even though it was only on fluff with heat for 10 minutes, that was enough to shrink them. And so I told her, I was like, hey, I think this is what happened. Next time, just set it to air fluff. And she was like, okay, I will. I don't know why this happened because I've been doing this for months and it hasn't been an issue. And I was like, I don't know. All I know is that if you have it set to heat, then they will shrink. And she was like, well, that's not true because they haven't shrunk before. And I was like, I don't know what the other variables were. I don't know if they were still damp. I don't know if it was less time. Maybe you got lucky. I don't know what the other variables are. But going forward, let's just set it to air fluff, no heat once they're dried. And she was like, okay. And I was
Yeah.
like, okay. And she was like, I feel really bad. And I was like, well, we didn't understand what the issue was before. This is a learning lesson. I'm upset about it, but like me being upset isn't going to change anything. All that's going to change something is if next time we put it on air fluff. So let's just put it on air fluff next time. She's like, okay. So we were able to get through it like really quickly. And a huge part of it, I think, is because I was like, okay, I can feel frustrated, but it's not going to solve the problem. So let's figure out what happened and why and what we're going to do about it next. And let's do it without yelling or insulting people. Just feel the emotions quietly. And that's what I did. And then I went about my day.
Yep.
It wasn't a big deal.
Yeah, it's a growth process.
Yeah.
I go through similar.
Segment 3.
Segment 3.
How to choose between fear and regret. So there's a quote here, which is, in life, we must choose our regrets. We heard that from a Chris Williamson podcast.
Yeah.
This quote has taught me that there will be times when I must experience regret, either through direct action or as an opportunity cost of missing something else. For example, today is Memorial Day. We have the day off of work. I have friends going out on boats and partying, and I'll wake up tomorrow and go back to work regardless of what I do today. But the regrets I carry with me, I can choose today. So I can either work today and carry with me the regret of missing out on those awesome parties, collecting fun stories, and spending time with friends, or I can go to the parties and then carry with me the regret of knowing I was handed an opportunity at overtime and spent all of it laughing and yelling in the penalty box while my team lost. And the latter is much heavier for me to carry. And so here we are. Do you have a systematic approach for breaking this down and choosing between regret and failure, or is it vibes based?
There is a systematic aspect to it for me, but as of recently, I've been going more with my gut, to be honest, which is like kind of an interesting change of pace for me.
Mm-hmm.
Traditionally, I've been very analytical
Mm-hmm.
of, okay, for example, with ads, I'll be like, okay, I've done this research. This is what I feel like best informs my ad production process. This is what I'm going to make. I hope it succeeds. And then iterate.
Mm-hmm.
I'm at the point right now where with stuff like that, I'm realizing that despite the tens and tens of hours of research that I've done for, kid products and mom products and my specific toys and whatever, I still do not have enough under my belt to understand how to make an effective ad and how to target my audience. I still don't know. And so I'm at the point now where it's like, okay, I have tried this. I will continue to try this. I think that research is important, right? And I don't think I've given, I've made about 60, 70 ads at this point.
Mm-hmm.
I've made a good amount of ads, but I still need to make more volume. Alex Ramosi always says, volume first, right? And so I still definitely need more volume. I'm in no way throwing out the analytical side of things. What I'm doing is I'm saying, okay, my analytics thus far have not resulted in something that wins. What I'm going to do instead is try a more gut instinct approach based on, I have all of this stuff. How I've viewed it is I've done a bunch of research. I can go through and look at that research analytically, and I can go, okay, I'm going to do this, this, and this, and then produce it. That's one alternative. The other alternative is trusting in the fact that through my tens and tens of hours of research of reading mom Reddit pages and mom TikTok content, that I have a subconscious understanding that I can't quite tap into that could potentially drive an advertisement that connects to that baseline internally,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so I'm like, okay, what I'll try is I'm going to look at these winning ad structures I have and produce ads from them. But also what I'm going to do is instead of trying to generate, while I'm doing that, so I'm still doing the analytical side of things, while I'm doing that, I'm also going to produce ads that just come from a gut instinct of like, oh, this is kind of a cool idea,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then I'm going to see where that goes. If all those completely fail, that's lesson learned, right? But if one of those takes off, I'm like, okay, now I can go over to the analytical side and understand why
Mm-hmm.
this instinctual idea that I had actually worked, right? And so I'm just I'm branching out my approaches.
Mhm.
But what was your initial question? Because I had something to add on to it. Sorry.
It was, do you pick fear versus regret off vibes, or is there a systematic approach?
Yeah. Even in the vibes side and the systematic side, there is a systematic approach to both.
Okay.
I'm systematically choosing, okay, I'm going to go off of vibes for these ads, try them out, and I'm going to systematically continue my system analysis and iterating that.
Mhm.
I'm going to now open up 2 streets,
Mhm.
right, where I can try to make ads and go, right? So there is a systematic approach, even when I'm just going off of like, oh, this is just vibes. I
Yeah.
feel as though there's still a systematic approach to why I'm doing so, right?
It's a
I
structured
don't
vibes.
wake up in the morning and go, I have no clue what I'm going to do today. I'm just going to roll out of bed and see who texts me first and do that thing,
Yeah, yeah.
right? Like that would be vibes,
Right.
like just total vibes, no systematic approach at all,
I
right?
think we used to do that.
Pretty much.
I think
Yeah.
that, right after graduating, when we started at work, it was like on the weekends, it's like wake up and like probably go to the bar, but depending on what the day happens, right? Because we were trying to schedule like working together on things. It was hard to
Yeah.
because neither of us had any sense of a schedule.
Yeah. Yeah. So whack, but like I've been really trying I really do try to approach it systematically.
Yeah.
And things come up every day that throw wrenches into the system, right?
Right.
But I try to at least approach it logically. One of the things that I've tried to approach logically is I had like someone that was helping me out with like some like life mentor s stuff for a little while. And he was trying to get me to sleep more, which 1,000 people have done at this point in my life. And I did it for a while and I 100% felt better. 100%. Like I 110% feel better when I sleep more, I exercise, I eat better, and I don't drink energy drinks all day. 100%, hands down.
Bean app will help you with that.
And bean potential. Half line because I haven't done it yet, but sure, right? Those things 100% feel better. How I look at it is, am I more productive when I feel better? And back to our podcast a couple of podcasts ago, what I've been working towards is being productive regardless of how I feel,
Right.
right? And so I can have all of these like vehicles in here to like help myself feel better in order to drive my productivity, or I can just not worry about feeling good and be productive anyway.
Mhm.
And so that's kind of the route I've gone because what I've noticed is like when I was going to bed at like 9 and waking up at like 5, like
Mhm.
yeah, I felt really good throughout my day. Like I felt energetic and I felt awesome and I felt healthy and I was like, cool, awesome. I missed out on a lot of shit that I could have gotten done just by staying up a little bit more.
Mhm.
And I've very consistently seen that trend in my life where it's like if I push until 2 or 3 or 4 in the morning, there there's never been a time where I haven't pushed to those hours and something came up that I was able to address earlier and get a resolution to quicker
Mhm.
because like something will come through. An ad account will get locked up. I'll get some message about something I've been waiting for. I'll find the time to do this one extra thing, which will lead me to this. Like there's always something
Yeah.
that I grab onto working that little extra bit, which is why I've like whittled out a lot of that stuff at least temporarily and been like, okay, I just got to push volume and I got to work.
Right.
Right. And so it's like that's kind of how I've been structuring my life as of now. But um I in that being said, there is a systematic approach. I do analyze it, and even when I go off of vibes, I try to approach it systematically, where it's like I'm going to try this vibes system, right?
Yeah.
And I'm going to utilize that with my system and try just go off of different avenues, increase volume, increase the amount I do, stay up later, do more. Like that's been my goal consistently at this
Mhm.
point.
Gotcha.
But how do you approach it? Do you go off of vibes? Do you go off of a system?
Between failure and regret?
Sure. I formed that question poorly, but
That's okay.
hopefully you can take it away.
Well, it's based on choosing between failure and regret, right? So it's
Yeah.
it's either am I going to not take action and then regret it, or
Oh,
I'm
I
going.
totally forgot to answer that part. I'd much rather choose failure.
Me too.
Yeah, which is the driving. I guess it was kind of implied, but like the driving force for me doing all of this is to not have regret.
Right.
Like that is the driving force.
I think
Right.
the short answer between choosing between regret and fear is always to choose
Regret and failure.
regret. Yeah, between regret. Yeah, we wrote fear. That's wrong. But choosing between regret and failure, it's always to choose failure, right? Because I'd rather have failure than regret, right? What I think is a more interesting question is to how do you choose which regret you're going to have? Because it's not always as easy as, like, every choice is a choice for a reason because you have more than one option. And it's not always as clear cut as, like, I can either sleep in an extra hour because I need it, or I can get up on time and go to work or whatever, right?
Mhm.
Sometimes it's, what business path do I take? Both have potential. Which do I prefer? Which would I regret less, right? And the function of this quote, "In life we must choose our regrets," is essentially saying, "Hey, don't think about don't make your decision based off which path you think is going to be more successful. Make your decision based off of which path you're going to continue to think about if you don't do it." Right?
Yeah.
And that's helped me through a lot of
Yeah.
breakups because I've considered, okay, should I break up with this girl or not? And then I think about it and I'm like, okay, if I'm having this thought now, I'll probably have this thought 5 years from now, and 10 years from now, and 40 years from now. And if I'm thinking about it now, I'll probably always think about it. And if I don't think about it now and I do break up with this girl, how many times will I think about her in this relationship? And then considering that, I go, there are so many other relationships. Human brains are so easy to satisfy. There is someone else out there that can do as good, if not better. And if there's an opportunity for better and I'm unhappy with where I'm at now, I have to go for it because otherwise I'm just going to continue to have this regret.
Mm.
And so then it's easier for me to make that decision, right? That becomes more difficult when the stakes are higher and the likelihood of something better being out there is lower. So, um, I'm struggling to think of an example, but I think that recently I've been spending more time relaxing than I have in the past. So, like, more time watching an episode of The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, or more time doing the Lego build that I did the other weekend, right?
Mhm.
And sometimes it's structured as a reward, and other times it's structured as, I'm just gonna take like a couple hours and hang out, which is not very like me. But it's a pattern that I'm recognizing, and I think it's as a result of, I feel happy when I'm productive. And I can't enjoy building Legos or watching an episode of TV or going and having a pool day or a beach day or something if I'm not also productive, right? Like, those things just flat out do not happen if I'm not getting shit done. But my business updates have been so fruitful recently that I feel good enough about what's happening in business that I can take a time to watch an episode of TV with Grace, right?
Yeah.
Um, and that's an interesting inverse to, I think, how most people who would choose regret over failure would. And that's because, do you relax when things are going well or poorly? When things are going well for me, I can relax easier. So if a lot of business things are happening, I can take some time to build a Lego
Mm.
set. If things are going poorly for me, I'm not getting any nice things. I'm locking in and doing the work until I can afford those nice things. There's so many other people out there that when things are going poorly, they're like, I'm just going to go to sleep, or I'm going to smoke weed and play video games. I want to do the easy thing because everything else is so hard and it's not going my way. And I'm wondering if this is a critical distinction between people who meet their goals and then people that don't.
I have this popped into my head, a little food for thought, but Hormozy talks about how when things are going well to push harder because they
Mhm.
won't always um be easy,
Right.
right? Like things will get harder. So if things are going well, push harder,
Mhm.
right? Um, is that a perspective that you've kind of morphed, or you have a different perspective on? Like how do you take that?
I like that perspective. Um, I think that I think that what he means when he says that is, if things are going well, as in if your inputs are resulting in positive outputs, right?
Hmm.
Um, but right now my inputs and outputs aren't really correlated in the sense that, like, it's not like if I do more than, how do I quantify this?
You don't think your inputs are correlated to your outputs right now?
No, no, I do.
Oh,
That's why
okay.
I paused,
Okay.
because
My bad.
that's not accurate.
I will shut up.
No, you're okay. I think that what it ultimately is I am putting in I'm putting in an amount of work that I'm comfortable with,
Hmm.
such that, and the work is um successful in that, right? So, like, I'm putting in a bunch of input and the outputs are correlating to it well, right? And so when I'm in that state, I don't mind taking small amounts of time to hang out and, like, do something more relaxing,
Mm.
right? But if that isn't the case, if the inputs and outputs are not aligned, then I have huge issue taking even small amounts of time off, which is why I always push like fucking crazy the week before I go on like a vacation. Even if I'm only gone for 3 days, it's like the 5 or 10 days leading up to it are like fucking ridiculous to try to, like, in my sense, like earn it. Right.
Yeah.
But recently I've been in a place where I have been earning it consistently to the point that I can give myself fun things more consistently. Right. In terms of like pushing when things are going well and not, the pushing hasn't changed. It's just my willingness to get a little more sleep, or my willingness to, like, this morning I had the choice between eating a bowl of cereal and then driving to the Melbourne office to see what was going on, or and getting like, 30 minutes of work done beforehand, or making eggs before leaving, right? I like eggs. It's more satiating. I know that I'm going to be out until like 4 today and I'm not going to eat in that time. So I was like, okay, I'm going to make eggs because I have a little more time, because I know that the time that I do spend working, I can get more done, right?
Mm.
So like when we got here, I checked on my business profile, then I updated my Linktree page, right? I didn't add that to my business account, my business update. But it's like, it's not that I'm letting off the throttle. It's just that it's getting more efficient, and so I can take another moment or two to give myself some of the like, um the components of your Bean app that you are trying to cut out entirely, right? So
Yeah.
for you, it's like, um, I don't need to be productive to feel good. There's all these other things that can make me feel good, but I'm going to be productive anyways. But for me, it's like, in order to feel good, I have to be productive. And in order to feel even better, I have to be productive and do these other things, like
Yeah.
sleep a little more.
I think it's more so for me that being productive is the goal. It's not about feeling good. It's not that productivity never makes me feel good. Like,
Hmm.
having a productive good day is awesome.
Right.
That's great. Um, but to feel happy because I had a productive day isn't necessarily the same thing as good, right?
Hmm.
Which is what we talked about last week. But
Hmm.
I guess maybe what also kind of what you're getting at is um, you're climbing up the mountain of success, and you're balancing how much do you just strictly grind and focus on the climb, but also take time to enjoy the view as you go, right?
Yeah.
It kind of a balance there, right? Like,
Yeah.
finding that balance of like, okay, I can't sit and enjoy the view for 2 years, but I can take 2 hours and enjoy the view,
Yeah, and
right?
it's like yesterday I slept like 4 hours. Saturday night I slept like 4 hours.
Hmm.
So Sunday I was tired, and I got a lot done yesterday even though I was tired, and then I was like, "Okay, I got a lot done despite being tired, but I feel like shit. I don't feel like getting up in the morning and doing it again because I'm tired. So
Yeah.
instead I'm going to watch an episode of Mormon Lives and go to bed on time." So I fell asleep watching that last night on time. Woke up well rested today, felt great, was able to hit the bricks running, right?
Yeah.
So for me, feeling feeling not even good, but just like well rested is a huge impact on my productivity, and I need to be productive to feel happy. So it's kind of like a little positive feedback loop, right? So it's like, I can be productive without being happy for a limited period of time, but I can't do that forever. And I'm not going to be able to do that if the productivity isn't working, right? And so right now the productivity is
Yeah.
working so well that I can take a little bit of extra time to get sleep that I need to feel better, which is going to make the productivity even better, right?
No, it's cool. Cool. Just a food for thought. I wanted to know your take on it.
Anyways, long and short way of saying, I would always rather choose fear than regret. I don't want to feel regret, failure instead of
Failure.
regret. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I would always rather fail than live with the regret of like thinking that I would have done something. And so when it comes to like small scale, like, do I go to bed early or do I continue to work? It's really easy for me to say, okay, I would regret staying up and working tonight because I'm already so tired. And I know that my podcast is going to be shit tomorrow. And I'm probably going to go to sleep early tomorrow and get less done. And I'm already getting less done because of the podcast. So it's very easy for me to think and say, okay, I would rather the regret of, oh, I'm doing a little bit of extra, a little bit of less work today by going to bed early than the other way around.
Yeah. I was to bed at 5 in the morning last night.
Right. I,
That's how I've been like every night. I mean, I don't feel good today.
mhm.
You know, like I don't feel tired because my body's kind of gotten used to it, but like I could definitely use some real food. I think I'll eat real food today because I've been eating like ramen noodles because it's cheap
Yeah.
and drinking energy drinks, and so I feel kind of like shit. So
Yeah.
like maybe I'll have a sandwich today or something.
Yeah. And for me, those things, like the regret of, okay, well, I'm spending a little more money on food, so I have to spend a little less money on ads. For me, I'll always pick food because the food has such an impact on my capacity to think
Yeah.
that when I'm doing creative stuff, like building the graphics that I'm doing right now or talking to people, I mean, the example of fumbling the lead yesterday was I didn't sleep well the 2 nights previous, especially the night before last night, and then I spent, like, 6 hours sitting at the bar just doing the graphics design, so when I left, my brain was totally fried, and I knew I was about to go do meal prep, which I don't like to do, and at that point, it was like, "Okay, now I can recognize that I'm so tired and so debilitated that it's negatively impacting my productivity. So now I need to sleep. So I have no problem going to bed on time or early, because I know that it's going to positively impact my productivity tomorrow. I think that a lot of times people they will choose which type of regret they want based off of how good they think they're going to feel, not how they'll feel thinking about the option they didn't take after they take the one they do. So they'll think, "Oh, I just feel like a cheeseburger right now, so I'm gonna get the cheeseburger." But what's interesting is that I try to put myself in the mindset of, "Okay, I've just finished eating my dinner. Am I going to go get a cheeseburger tomorrow or a steak tomorrow?" Right? That's kind of it's a different way of thinking. It's putting myself in the future and then looking backward instead of just looking forward at the options in front of me.
Mm. Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, it's cool.
So, like, with the Miata and Corvette, like, if you told me I was able to afford a C8 Corvette and a Miata today, right? I'm gonna get a Miata no matter what. It's a matter of time. It's gonna happen
Mm.
eventually, right? But with the C8 Corvette, it's like, well, if I get a Miata and then I suddenly have enough money to buy a McLaren, I'm probably never gonna have a C8 Corvette. So, it's probably better for me to get a Miata first instead of a C8 Corvette because I know I'm gonna get a Miata eventually. And so it's easier for me to choose that regret because it's like, well, I'm so resolute in my decision to get a Miata that it's going to happen eventually anyways, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So in that case, do that one first. Or if I can only choose one, then choose the one that I'm going to be thinking about for longer.
Yeah. I wrote here, I'd rather take action and frame it into a potential for success, even if logistically it was a failure. And once one takes action, it's harder to have regret. Nothing fosters regret easier than the lack of action, and nothing makes failure more tolerable than the pursuit of success.
Yeah.
So
I think that I regret lack of action more than action, like negative action. You know what I mean? So like,
yeah.
so with the lead that I fumbled yesterday, right? I am happy that I spoke to her and didn't speak very eloquently and didn't follow the sales script that I would prefer to use than ignore her and like leave.
Yeah.
I'm happier that I took action, even though it's not the action that I know I'm capable of and would have rather done than just like walked out entirely and ignored her. So it's like
Yeah.
taking action is always going to be preferable to not taking action
Agreed.
in terms of my regret.
Cool. That's all I got.
Me too.
Yeah. I think it wrapped up my sheet pretty well.
Sweet. Okay, we'll do the dial in.
Cool.
Today's quote is one that I've already read. It is, "In life, we must choose our regrets." Do you know who it's by?
Chris Williamson.
No, I thought so too.
Oh.
I went back to my quote sheet. Chris Williamson said it in his podcast, quoting Christopher Hitchens. Do you
Oh.
know who he is?
I've heard the name. I don't know.
I'm in the same boat. I didn't look it up. But I thought it was a really good quote. I had something else to say on Chris Williamson too, but I can't remember. It's interesting to me how people don't give any thought or credence to these kinds of things at all.
Mm-hmm.
The more people that I find myself meeting, the less I realize that people can contribute meaningful thought to these types of exercises. And especially watching the TV show last night. It's like, man, people don't think about this at all.
Yeah, a lot of people don't. A lot of people don't.
Yeah.
I guess ignorance is bliss in some ways. I mean, this shit keeps me up at night sometimes, thinking about it.
Really?
And my mind's just racing. My mind's racing all the time. That's why I can't, like, I wasn't even tired at 5 a.m. yesterday.
Hmm.
I was like, I genuinely sat there and I was like, do I just pull an all-nighter? because I was not tired at all.
Yeah.
And I was like, I just forced myself at 5 a.m. I was like, okay, I'm just gonna go lay down.
Yeah.
And I laid down and I was awake for probably another hour.
Yeah.
Just couldn't stop racing, thinking about ads, content creation, philosophical topics,
Mhm.
pondering Christianity and God and all these other things. Like just like this culmination of different thoughts. I just can't stop my mind from racing.
Interesting.
It was interesting. Tristan Tate talked about this on a podcast with Candace Owens. And it spoke to like how I experienced the overthinking so well. And he was like, overthinking, he was like, I'm an overthinker. And he was like, I think all the time and I can't sleep at night and I can't stop thinking about things. It'll just be anything. I'll just think and think and think. And Candace Owens was like, what do you do to like try and like mitigate that? And he was like, I don't. And she was like, really? And he was like, yeah, like I think that he was like, I try to embrace it because the only way to dilute it and push it down is to like do drugs or alcohol or other stuff like that. And I was like, that is so fucking true for me.
Hmm.
It was like a big reason that I go for the kava and the Lolos is I enjoy having it with friends. I like going to the bar and having it. But B, like I know I can go home and actually like sleep and not think.
Mhm.
Like I haven't had I had one that Chris bought me on Saturday.
Yeah.
But other than that, I haven't had any in like over a week. And every night I'm up until 4 or 5 in the morning thinking, and I can't fall asleep at 5 in the morning because I'm still thinking. And I wake up and I'm thinking all day. And it's like that, like the Lolos like really pulled me out of that and like just gave me like a balance or like a complete mind reset where I was just like, okay, sleep time, where it's like I kind of saw that as like my escape.
Mhm.
And I was like, and then I heard that Tristan Tate quote and I was like, fuck, like that's what I do. Like I just look for an escape
Mhm.
and I turn to, not like drugs like heroin, but I turn to like substance or like it's something that can get me to stop overthinking. He was like, reframe it into a superpower, embrace it. Like
Mhm.
like use it to your advantage. It's awesome to be an overthinker. And it is like from his perspective, it was like it's tough because I can't there are some nights where I don't sleep at all. Like I can't sleep. And I was like, dude, that's me. Like there are some nights where I lay in bed for 2 friggin' hours sometimes. And it's interesting because I didn't have this when I drank kratom and when I had kava consistently, either one or both. Very consistently, I would be able to get in bed, fall asleep immediately, and then waking up was a huge challenge. But the getting in bed and falling asleep immediately, a breeze with kratom and kava. It was so easy for me to just like shut off and fall asleep.
Huh.
But once I took that stuff away, like my mind just cannot stop. Like I cannot fall asleep.
Hmm.
It's interesting.
I noticed a very clear pattern, and I had it last night, where it's if I'm sleep deprived, I can be productive throughout the day, but then I start to get tired around like 7 or 8 p.m. and I like really stall at like 9 p.m.
Got it.
But if I stay awake from like 9 to 9:30, it's like a second wind happens, and now I'm awake from like 9:30 to 3, and I'm not even tired at all. And I'm loving life, and then I pass out, right? I noticed that on days that I exercise, I don't have a problem falling asleep whenever I want.
Hmm.
I can go to sleep kind of whenever, and I can stay up later, and I can work more, and then go to bed and fall right asleep, or I can go to bed early and fall asleep too. But
Interesting.
I find that the exercise really helps because I feel not having sleep kind of hamstrings my cognitive ability because all day my brain is like, hey, you don't have that energy that you need. You have to go to sleep. And then as soon as I like start to get excited about something, I really love the hours from like 9 p.m. to 3 a.m. Those are my favorite hours. I don't know why. It's just I love that. I love being alive in those hours. And when I'm in those hours, my brain kicks in and it's like, hey, we're going to be awake now. But if I have physically exercised, it regulates my energy levels throughout the day pretty consistently.
Interesting.
I've never had a fucking grueling exercise and then not been able to fall asleep that night. I've always been like,
Yeah.
okay, time to go. And then my brain just shuts off.
Cool. Well, a good podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah. Enjoy it. Thank you for listening. Happy Memorial Day, and we will see you next time at the American Muscle Car Museum.
Next one's going to be dope.
Yes, next one will be dope. Tune in.